Sweating. This is a hot one.
It was a unseasonably hot Christmas.
It was horrible. It was like living in Florida. Not to say that it's necessarily horrible if people live in Florida.
You people in Florida.
Yeah,
know
but I mean,
exactly what we're talking about.
We like to have the changing of the seasons, and it's raining out. It's hot. It was 60 degrees. I had almost turned the air conditioner on.
I was dying. I was in Philadelphia, so it was even a little hotter than it was here. But speaking of Philadelphia,
it's very topical this week along that we're going to be talking about Philadelphia. But we've completely forgot about. We have to finish the last half of the other cast out.
Yeah.
We just got off of doing Gremlins for Christmas, and we literally walked away from the studio and we completely forgot the whole reason why we almost did do Gremlins.
Packed up our sleeping bag and zipped it up, and we went to sleep.
Poured all the water, coffee, and beer down the sink, and then we realized, shucks.
One of the whole reasons why we did it in the first place. It would never got mentioned.
Yeah. You have acquired a bust from Rick Baker's special effects house that was designed. They were designing Gremlins for the 1990 sequel, Gremlins: The New Batch.
Yes, we talked about
it a lot of times.
In the Harry and the Hendersons cast, for sure. We talked about how Rick Baker was retiring and how there was a big auction. They're putting on auctions. He was selling a bunch of stuff from his creature shop, and I went on one of those auctions and I purchased what's called a maquette. It's a clay bust of Gremlin in the designing process of what they were going to look like for the movie. This particular one wasn't sculpted by Rick Baker himself, but certainly he and Joe Dante looked it over.
Yeah, of course. They probably looked at it and said, yeah, you're doing really good, or, oh, geez, that's looking bad.
And you're one of only like 3 people that's seen it in person.
Yeah, it's huge. It's a lot bigger than you would think it would be.
It was a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be when I bought it.
And you went through a whole thing with them shipping it down to you.
It was a whole rigmarole, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up costing more to get it shipped than it actually cost to buy, right?
Yeah.
The bidding?
Well, it didn't cost more, but it cost... They charged me over $500 to ship it.
Just to ship it from California to New York.
And then it got damaged on the way. And miraculously... I talked it out with them, and they refunded my shipping costs.
Yeah, I told you, man. I would go and yell the shit out of them about that, and I mean, it wasn't destroyed.
It was. You know what it was? Is the way it was shipped in a wooden crate. You know, like Raiders of the Lost Ark style.
Much like Creepshow. You got a Yeti in there coming to you.
It's like the Ark of the Covenant was shipped to my house.
Yeah,
and.
It took a while to get there too, didn't it?
Yeah, it took, I don't know, it was like months.
Like you won the auction, and then they were like, okay, now the next step is how are we going to ship it to you?
And how are we going to get it to you?
Because
they advised that you come here and get it, but I wasn't going to drive cross country to get it.
And you were even,
although I probably should have.
You were entertaining even getting not a messenger, but what do you call those?
Oh, like a courier.
A courier. That might have been even cheaper than, you can rent a freaking...
But what happened was something in the crate broke. And so by the time it took.
What, they pack it in hay? Like you always envision those wooden crates just come with.
They pack it with like foam but something in it. What happened was they didn't support the base of the bust itself broke, snapped in half, and it's
it's a wooden, right? It's a wooden
there's
base?
pictures. Yeah, there's pictures on our site
under the Gremlins podcast.
Yeah, under the Gremlins podcast. There's a link to some pictures. You can see it's like a clay bust on a metal pipe, and that metal pipe is fastened to like a wood base, like a wooden, it's wood.
Yeah.
Now that cracked in half and busted, and so what happened was when it buckled, it came loose from everything that was stabilizing it in the crate.
Yeah.
And so it got knocked around. Miraculously, it showed up in better shape than it could have.
Yeah, exactly, because it's still kind of like pliable.
Yeah,
the clay.
Oddly enough, you would obviously I didn't think that it was going to be like fired clay because there's like glass eyes and stuff in it, but I was expecting like when you're in like elementary school, the clay gets dried up and it becomes hard.
Yeah,
even if you don't put it
almost
in the
like
oven
breaks,
or the kiln or whatever. This is like still like malleable.
I wonder if it's
still
like
soft.
if it's like a certain modeler's clay or some sort
special
of
modeling clay.
And that movie is now 25 years old, maybe more, right?
Yeah.
26 years old. So, and this thing's sweet looking. Have you been able to pinpoint who he is in reference to the?
I think he's supposed to be. There's one in the movie specifically that has like a spike. You know, he's like the stripe of.
Oh, that
like
movie.
Aesthetically,
Yeah.
Instead of like a hair mohawk, it's like spikes that are like, I guess, exoskeleton or skin, or whatever. He looks like he's pretty close to that one.
I don't remember that movie that well.
I only know because I think we mentioned it when we did the Gremlins cast that El Rey was playing the crap.
Oh, so you watched it?
So I ended up watching the second one.
Yeah, John Glover's good in that, isn't he?
John Glover's. Well,
He's good in everything.
He's good at everything.
That was just I was just thinking about. I was watching on Grit TV. It always comes back to the antenna television that we watch.
This really.
It's a big
Things like Grit and Heroes and Icons and Buzzer should start like paying us.
Yeah, it's just a big advertisement. We just buy time for MeTV and all that. But I caught Seamus on freaking Grit TV. Seamus is this very obscure Burt Reynolds 1973 movie where he plays a private detective in New York City. And when you and I were living together post-college, I was going through a big Smokey and the Bandit phase. So without you. But then I was like, hey, let's watch some Burt because I'm in a big Smokey and the Bandit phase. So we ended up watching like all the like I had already seen Gator, but we watched Gator. We watched like White Lightning, which is the first movie because he's Gator McCluskey.
Longest Yard.
We watched The Longest Yard. We watched this Seamus. We watched Sharky's Machine, and we might have watched like Hooper, the one where he's like the stunt man.
Yeah, we watched that one.
You know,
we might have watched like.
But there's
the Shtick or whatever. What was that one called? The Stick?
I don't remember.
We watched one from like the 80s. Like
we watched
mid to late 80s.
We watched all his like what made him Burt without being like comic relief. And this Seamus movie is freaking amazing. I bring it up because it's like John Glover's first appearance. He chases John Glover down through a back alley and then like trying to get information out of him. He's like sticking his face into like a grease bucket from outside of a Chinese restaurant. It's disgusting. And remember, he does all his own stunts, Burt, where like he's like. At one point, he's like in Westchester. Remember, he like jumps off like a stone ledge into a woods and misses the branch and falls.
Yeah.
And we were on that thing like a half a dozen times.
That was one of my favorite ones that we watched. I recall.
Yeah, it's a mustacheless Burt as well, because much like my Chuck Norris and Alex Trebek watching, I gauge years by mustaches. So it's back with the mustacheless.
We talked about doing many fests.
Yeah,
we talked about maybe doing a Bronson fest.
Yeah. Never
but Burt Reynolds was the only one we pulled off.
Yeah, we did, and I was glad that we did the movies I'd never seen because I don't want to go back and watch like we've all seen the Cannonball Run movies and all that, and of course I can watch Smokey till the cows come home. But it was good to see the ones that like White Lightning with Ned Beatty and Gator with Gator McCluskey. So yeah, we should maybe get to Seamus. That was a great movie since we're talking about John Glover.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that today.
And we're not talking about Gremlins, the new batch either. But so that's awesome. So please, we like to also let people know that we do have a website where this podcast comes out on, which it's our baby, and you can go there to check out all the other podcasts. You can see us, you can read about us and what we do. There's an about us there, and with every podcast that comes out, we also plug other things. It's almost like further reading for each podcast. We have like either links to
sometimes it's
scenes.
like really exclusive stuff, like these pictures, for instance.
Yeah, no one else has this darn freaking
sometimes
bust.
it's just cool stuff that we find on YouTube or an article or whatever.
Stuff that we think that if you're into
bonus features.
If you listen to freaking 2.5 hours or 6 hours, I was talking about. Say, Batman with Tim Burton's Batman. We figured, hey, you know what? Maybe you'd be into seeing some other stuff, like a featurette that no one's seen, Or, like we said, exclusives like comic art or this big, Gremlins bust that no one's seen.
Or a link to an interview that one of us did.
Yeah, So we get around sometimes. Or pictures of us hanging out with people, in weird situations.
But
hey, they're always conversation starters. But we digress because this movie this week.
This is important, and it's getting late.
Yeah,
and I seriously could do like 4 parts on this movie.
Yeah, so we need to get this bad boy started. We need to
dive in because
we need to cut all the BS.
I could do a whole podcast series
on this
about talking about this franchise and more specifically this first movie.
Yeah, we this is kind of like our I was gonna say our coup de la, our creme de creme. That's not really the right word, but this is like it's like
our Cobra La.
This is our Cobra La of the holiday season. We started this back in we pulled out 5 weeks of Halloween movies in October. We gave ourselves Dutch and Thanksgiving, We gave ourselves, Invasion USA Christmas movie as well as Gremlins and Christmas.
This
And
is our
then
New Year's extravaganza.
yeah, we were thinking of like, hey, let's give the audience a nice little surprise gift, like if they haven't heard enough of us already.
Our last cast of 2015.
Of 2015, we were going to do a New Year's movie, and of course, like, what do you want to do? And it's like, we can always
we could do New Year's Evil.
Yeah, Poseidon Adventure, or that's we love Irwin Allen, and we can do. We're trying to think of
And then I brought up the fact that for me, this is a New Year's tradition.
Yeah, and I said, really, what is it? And you said,
Rocky 1976. It's a New Year's tradition because the fight between Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed takes place on New Year's Day, 1976. The movie opens. We're in like an old abandoned church. There's a boxing club there. We see two guys beating the hell out of each other in this really like smoke-filled church, and we see the opening. We see a title that says November 25th, 1975, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and this spans.
Well, first, it starts with the biggest like title card of ever, which is like Rocky taking up the entire screen.
It drives by you like a subway train. It actually goes by like, what is it? Goes screen right to left, I think. And it's this thing encompasses. It starts it's almost like Miracle on 34th Street, where it starts right before Thanksgiving and it ends on
It's actually
New Year's
a
Day.
brilliant device. Sylvester Stallone wrote this script, and we don't need to go to a ton of the specifics because I think everybody kind of knows that he wrote this script.
Do they know, you think, though, or do you think people that's forgotten about?
Okay, well, in a nutshell,
yeah,
he went in and he was meeting with one of the producers of this movie, not Erwin Winkler, but the other guy. Unfortunately,
and he was trying out for another role, and then
he ended up talking to this guy for a while, and the guy really liked him a lot, but the guy didn't think he was right for the role, or didn't have a part for him as an actor, and so he was on his way out, and Stallone says to him, I write too.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, yeah, okay, sure.
And this is Stallone's story where, like, hey, if you ever want to get anywhere in life, just keep talking. And this is his example where it's like if he had not said two other words to that guy and walked out of the room, he might not have even had his career, or we wouldn't have had Rocky. And he just stopped and said, hey, by the way, I write. And the guy's like, really? And that sparked a conversation.
And the guy was like, well, when you have something that that you think's worth reading, let me see it. So then Stallone went and he decided he was going to write a script. Now he kind of denies the importance of a particular fight in 1975 where Muhammad Ali fought this guy named Chuck Wepner.
Yes, the Bayonne
brawler, the bruiser.
No, it's the bleeder, the Bayonne bleeder. Yeah.
Now nowadays, because Wepner ended up suing him, so nowadays Stallone has said that wasn't that big of an influence on him. But the idea of that fight was that there was this guy who was, a bleeder.
He was a nobody. He had a career in boxing, and he really just was a Joe Blow, and he was being put up there. He was playing, I think, outside of Cleveland somewhere. This really no nonsense fight against Muhammad Ali. And back then, people used to either, if you couldn't go to the venue, people would actually go to like closed circuit. You go to a bar, or you'd even go to another arena to watch it.
Yeah.
And Stallone one night went to just see a Muhammad Ali fight, and no one thought anything of this guy.
And so this guy was supposed, like Rocky. He was fighting the best boxer in the world.
And like in the second round, was it? He knocked he knocked Muhammad Ali down. And people were like, oh my God, he knocked Muhammad Ali down, And then I think they went to 15 rounds, but the guy got a TKO, and Muhammad Ali ended up winning, but the guy never was knocked out. And, that was like the inspiration for Stallone saying, like, that's what, that's what people are going through. Even, with his life of being a frustrated actor at the time. He was like sleeping on the streets, or there's stories where he was sleeping at the bus depot here in New York City. He had a dog, Buckus, who shows up in the movie that he couldn't even buy food for, so he ended up selling it in front of a very sad story, a barbershop, to get money. And then after he got this picture, he went back to get the dog, and the guy wouldn't give him the dog back, and he had to buy the dog for like $15,000 back from the guy. And that's the dog that shows up in this movie. So it's a touching story.
Yeah, so he saw this fight, and it got sparked. The inspiration was sparked. And he decided to write this script, and he writes it in a notebook, which, by the way, there was just recently like a huge Stallone auction. Speaking of auctions, and that notebook with that original script sold for like hundreds of thousands.
Oh, he actually parted with that?
Yeah. He parted with all kinds of stuff.
I always wonder why people would. I guess because maybe he's getting up there and he doesn't need.
I'd like to say that he was trying to raise money for charity, but I honestly don't know.
Was that what it was for?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I'd like to say that's why he did it.
I thought he was. It was actually that was the reason. Like he was saying he was raising money for. I'd like to say that he was helping out the children of the Congo.
But I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't know anything
it's
really
not like
about
he
that.
needs the money. So
But at the time when this script came out, he was like destitute. He didn't have anything. He'd acted really. He's in. He comes up here or there, and he tried his hand at writing.
Yeah,
and
so he was. Here's the thing about Stallone that people don't realize, because he's got like that kind of that way of talking, and when he was born, there was like a forceps mishap, and it paralyzed side of his face, so he's kind of got like his lip kind of hangs down. People mistake him for not being like an intelligent guy because of the way because of his voice and the way he looks, and then of course because of the characters he's played. I mean, he was before Rocky he played heavies.
Yeah,
like
he plays Frank Nitti in a Capone movie. I think it was a Roger Corman movie. He plays here and there. Is Death Race prior to this?
Yeah, I think Death Race is before this, and so people don't. He's a well-educated guy. He went to school in Switzerland. He's very well read, and
he did Lords of Flatbush, and that didn't really take him anywhere, so he started
like
writing.
A small part as like a guy, as like a thug on a subway in a Woody Allen movie, which I can't remember which one it is at the moment.
Yeah.
So he writes this script, and
he writes it like in 3 days too, supposedly. The first draft. The thing went through successful, a lot of drafts, but that's
apparently originally it was pretty dark, and it didn't have a lot of kind of like what we love about.
Yeah, and Mickey was a racist, supposedly. Rocky throws the fight at the end because he just gets so disillusioned with the whole boxing industry, which I think is kind of interesting to think about that, because at the time that really says something about the world, because he does paint a portrait of a world, that it's Philadelphia, but it could be anywhere, that underclassmen or the people who are never going to ever get their dreams to materialize, nor do they care or even realize that they could maybe even make their dreams happen. So it's very sad, and I think he really puts that across in this film.
Now, for me, now we've done 2, and this will be the second movie we do that's like literally on like my list of like top 5 favorite movies of all time. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
And this might be my favorite movie.
Now this is interesting because this makes a jump back to earlier this year. We did one of my top 5 favorite movies, Dirty Harry, and you posed the question in Dirty Harry to me. You said, is there another franchise aside from Dirty Harry, and we did mention Planet of the Apes, that has a successal series that spans decades? And I realize when we're doing this, it is Rocky.
Now, yeah,
it's Rocky. We're 76 to now. This is the 6th installment or 7th. Creed of this recording.
Creed came out at Thanksgiving,
so that'd be the 7th installment. So he's ahead of Dirty Harry by 2 movies. So that's and also, I think it says Stallone holds the record only with Charles Chaplin being in writing a film and starring in it that has won like an Oscar or awards for. He's the only other person aside from Charles Chaplin who's been able to do that, and it win awards and get notoriety.
Well, that's the other thing is like he didn't direct this movie. John G. Appleton directed this movie, who at the time had done a bunch of movies, but he was best known for a movie with Peter Boyle called Joe from 1970.
Great little movie if you haven't seen it. But Susan Sarandon shows up in there with her breasts all out. Peter Boyle's a real bigot. It's a really hard to find movie. If you can find it, it's really interesting, really messed up. It's just a little. It's like Taxi Driver. It's like a little slice of that 70s there. So
and then he went on to direct like Karate Kid.
Yeah, he did all the Karate Kids, and Bill Conti goes with him.
He did the first 2. Bill Conti, who did the music for this, did the music for that.
Who's also
that music is amazing.
We'll get to Conti because I think he should be inducted into our Hall of Fame later on. The stuff he's done.
And he did a movie in 1992 with Morgan Freeman and Stephen Dorff called Power of One.
Power of One, yeah,
which is a little boxing movie. That's actually a really great movie. I haven't seen it in forever, but but your point about Stallone is that. He wrote this, starred in it, choreographed the fight, and this movie was nominated for 10 Academy Awards, I think.
Yeah.
And it won Best Picture and Best Director and Best Editor. He was nominated, I think, for Best Actor.
Yeah.
I know Talia Shire was.
Or for Best Screenplay, I think.
Burgess Meredith was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
And then there were other technical things. Now, Network came out that year, and that kind of...
swept
a lot of the big ones that they didn't get, like the acting awards and whatnot. But It won Best Picture. And then he went on and he directed all of them except for 5. John G. Avildsen came back. But he wrote and directed 2, 3, 4, and then Rocky Balboa, which, was technically the 6th one.
Yeah. Then Creed is the latest.
And then Creed's the latest one, which he didn't write, or he's just in.
This also in 2006, the screenplay that he wrote was inducted in the Writers Guild of America. It's the 78th best screenplay of all time, which is like a huge feat. And on sports movies, it's nominated. Rocky is number 2 in best sports movies of all time. The first one being Raging Bull.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Slapshot?
Yeah, after Slapshot. No. It's I guess the first one, Raging Bull, very same. And then you have Rocky. So that's interesting that it's boxing, the first two.
Well, there's something about boxing movies. I mean, you think about, there were boxing movies before this. There was various versions of...
there's some...
What's the one that you...
Oh, Requiem for a Heavyweight.
Heavyweight.
I mean, if you guys are into boxing, check out Rod Serling's Requiem for a Heavyweight. There's City for Conquest, which is a James Cagney boxing movie. There's a great Kurt Douglas boxing movie that escapes my mind for the 50s. There's always been some quintessential boxing movies as you go on, maybe like each generation or each decade. And I think the 60s, late 50s, early 60s was the Requiem for a Heavyweight, the Rod Serling movie.
2 versions of that.
Yeah, they did a Playhouse 90 TV version with Jack Palance, and then when they much like they used to do back then, they take it and then they film it for the screen. They changed the actors up, and you had Jackie Gleason in it. You had Anthony Quinn playing the boxer who's over the hill. Jackie Gleason plays the manager, and Mickey Rooney plays, I think, the trainer in it. And it's it's a darker version of this, where it's...
I mean, it's a beautiful film.
Yeah, and at the beginning of the movie, he's fighting Cassius Clay, and it's all first person. It's before Muhammad Ali changed his name, and the end of it's much like a Rod Serling. If you guys are familiar with Twilight Zone, it's a very much a Rod Serling script. Where at the last end, it's very, very... very sad what happens to turn, but it goes to highlight the plight of these people, and that's like the City for Conquest, the Cagney movie. At the end of that movie, he's blind and he's like working as like a newsstand boy, and the people he can't see, he only listens to the fight. So it's always you never really, or even Raging Bull, it's like you never get nothing ever good happens in a boxing movie.
Well, I think there's something intriguing about boxing story, because I think it's something that I don't know, there's almost something like mystical about it, because it's like we all understand that it exists, but you can't understand like why, as a layman or like a regular moviegoer, like why somebody would put themselves through that kind of punishment. And so it becomes it's like an oddity that I think we're drawn to as an audience.
He's like a modern gladiator, you're like a gladiator in modern times, where
and Bill Conti's music in Rocky kind of reflects that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's like
fanfare with the trumpets, which was always like a signal of like going to war.
And I don't understand the human condition, but for some reason, since the beginning of time, people like to be seeing someone in a ring either fighting animals, each other, or whatever, usually to the death. Yeah. We've stopped that some 100 years ago, but boxing's turned into kind of that. Now we're getting away. And, I don't know if it's sadly or better for worse. The mixed martial arts fighting, the MMA is taking over, and boxing is sadly really lost its prestige after I think the Tyson era. Yeah. Where now a lot of, because when you and I were growing up in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, it's like people knew who the heavyweight champion was. I mean, Tyson, those Tyson fights with
George Foreman came back and started boxing again when we were young.
Yeah, when Don King was promoting Tyson, I mean, those were like huge, seeing those fights. And people would pay gazillions of dollars, or even back then you'd get pay-per-view, you'd watch it. And it was always a sham. You'd pay a crap load of money on pay-per-view, and there'd be like a half a dozen people on the card until the headliner, and then Tyson would knock the guy out in like the first round. And it's like, oh, what was the whole point of it? But it was so prestigious. And nowadays, I couldn't even tell you who. I mean, there's like Mayweather and certain other people who were into it. Pacquiao, people know, but it's not anything how it used to be, where it used to be an event where people used to go to bars or do things together, or this whole, the Rumble in the Jungle, or those huge clutch fights.
I think it has to do with, why. I think it has to do with the same reasons why like the finale for MASH had so many viewers. There was just like less
captive audience.
There was like less options.
Yeah.
And now we have like mixed martial arts, and even to a certain extent, like, professional wrestling has become so much, was becoming a huge spectacle in the 80s, but hasn't, became like something completely different.
I'm a huge fan of the 2007-8 movie, The Wrestler, with Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
And look at that. That's a very sad story of, again, an aging fighter who,
Well, yeah, I mean, these are guys that put themselves through hell to get by.
And usually, I mean, the stories like this, especially with the Stallone written movie, it's like he's a nice guy, and he may not be the smartest guy in the world, but he has a heart of gold, and then it's just like the world takes advantage of him, or he gets he falls to the wayside, and it's like, and we find, not to move the cast along, but like, the beginning of the movie, Rocky he's just, he's fighting as much as he can. He's not really making much.
No. He won the fight and ends up winning like $40.
Yeah, I mean, he gets 65 after all the fees and all that from the place and the locker. He gets $40. When can I fight? Maybe 2 weeks. Call me. So what does he do? And on the side, he's working for Joe Spinell as a loan shark to get people to pay debts, but then he's not even a good loan shark because he has a heart of gold. He doesn't want to go.
He doesn't want to break some guy's thumbs for a couple of bucks.
And it's funny, and and he could be a real dick and be it. He could probably be a lot better than he.
And, he puts up that front. And he's like, "Look, I'm not emotionally involved."
Exactly, it's very funny. And
he's like, you want to dance, you got to pay the band. You want to,
Yeah, and he's right. It's responsibility, and it's funny. A lot of times, some of the best words of wisdom come from people like Rocky or those kind of characters because they understand life maybe from a completely different spectrum. Or like Paulie, Burt Young's character, which is sad for me too. So
before we dive totally into
how
this,
did you?
I got to talk. We should talk about our relationships with Rocky because this is a movie that for me has been an important part of my life for as long as I can remember. I grew up in Philadelphia.
As long as I've known you, the first day I knew you, you're like, I like Rocky. And you put the poster on the wall. That was it. You Stallone and I like Rocky.
Now, I'll try to make this short because there's so much to talk about. But basically, I grew up in Philadelphia until I was 9 or 10. And my mom remarried and we moved up to Albany. Now, excuse me. Now, Rocky was a big thing, and I remember my dad taking us to see Rocky 4 and Rocky 5.
And those were huge. I mean, I think Rocky 3, 4
even
were
5, which isn't very good.
Yeah,
people were
purists
on their feet,
yeah,
cheering in the movie theater. I remember because it was it was the first time I ever experienced anything like that.
Wow. In 5. Wow. Did you see it opening night or anything? Or?
I don't think it was opening night, but it was in Philadelphia.
Just imagine matinee.
We saw it in Philly. Basically. Yeah. And I remember it was on TV a lot, and even I remember my brother saying, whenever's Rocky's on, we got to watch it kind of thing. And then I moved to Albany, and the Rocky movies, and Rocky, the first one specifically, became like a little memento of home.
Yeah.
Because I was now in a new place.
It definitely showcases the city of Philadelphia as, I like that, as in Dirty Harry, San Francisco becomes a character.
Yeah.
Philly is definitely, it's hard to think of Rocky outside of, you could do it, of course, but it's nice when you have stories that involve the city as a character.
Now, I didn't, where I grew up wasn't quite as run down as where Rocky was living. But there's so many places where he's running are very familiar to me. Obviously, the steps to the art museum, just as he's running through the city, the Italian market in South Philadelphia, Pat's Steaks, which is a scene
South Street, right?
Which is in South Philadelphia. All those things were very familiar to me. So in a way, it was like when I was homesick, being in a new place, I would watch Rocky, and it felt me. Another great Philadelphia movie is Blowout.
Okay.
By De Palma and
with John Travolta.
With John Travolta, but
I didn't know that.
At that point, I was so young that that would have been a fucked up movie for me to like.
Hey, you would have become a great sound engineer though, with your listening for. That's a movie that no one knows about, and I can even readily admit that I didn't really know that much about it until post college.
Yeah.
Going really into the weeds of De Palma back when De Palma was making great movies, but every movie was an homage to Hitchcock.
Yeah, well, that's my favorite era. Those are also, which is a whole different conversation, which we can get to if we ever
we hit up with De Palma.
It's a very giallo Italian sensibility of Dress to Kill and Blowout, but.
Or Body Double too,
So there are some great movies in Philadelphia. Mannequin takes place in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia Story,
I know, but you don't really see Philadelphia.
I know,
But so
Mannequin's Philly.
Yeah.
Okay, I always thought that in New York.
So Rocky was always a big deal to me. So, but as you get older, I started to get Rocky 3 was on TV all the fucking time up in Albany.
Yeah.
And I knew Rocky 3 on TV so well that, like, I knew when the commercial breaks were coming up. Like, I'd start getting up to use the bathroom like 30 seconds before
you used to know,
started.
I think it was, I forget what Rocky it was. You and another friend of mine from my elementary school days, Noel Smythe, was such a Rocky fan that you two were the only people that I know that I think we would, when we were in college together, you and I, we'd put it on in Spanish. And there was the beach scenes, and maybe Rocky 2 or 3, and you were telling me what what's happening, and what he's saying. Rocky's really upset now because
Yeah, 3. Well, the 3 was the one that I knew.
Yeah,
I knew that one by
even
heart.
in Spanish, you could decipher what he's saying.
And so I started to get. I loved Rocky, but I had like moved on to like 2, and then Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 they become much more of a cartoon almost. I mean, they become like, it becomes a totally different series by then.
Yeah, it's almost.
So now we flash forward.
Now, was Stallone your guy at that time too?
Oh, I always loved Stallone.
Yeah, see, that's me with Eastwood.
I had a Stallone collection.
Yeah,
like,
so
I had Fist.
Yeah,
I had Lords
Victory.
of Flatbush. I had like I had a VHS
Oscar.
collection that was all like Stallone.
You're not going to get the bigger Oscar fan than me. I love Oscar.
You're the biggest. Oscar
It's such
fan.
a good movie, and it's just got such a raw deal. No pun intended with Arnold.
And so flash forward decades.
Yeah.
I'm 30 years old. More. Rocky's 30 in the movie. I'm right around there.
Yeah.
I'm living in an apartment in New York City by myself. I'm out of work. I'm going through like a really awful time. Worst time of my life, really.
Yeah.
A lot of bad shit was going on because of just like circumstances. I wasn't living up to the potential that I thought I was going to.
So you're very disillusioned with what you're looking for.
Yeah, like I'm trying to get work, and I'm not getting steady work in television. And we went to school to make movies, and I'm trying to be a musician. And
well, that's the biggest secret that they don't tell you when you go to film school. They don't tell you how to get a job afterwards. So they just put you out, and then sadly, I'd say 60% of us end up just going home and paying off the student debt, and you get stuck at home in mom's basement or dad's basement. And you get what's the percentage of people who actually come out of film school? Maybe not our film school, but that get that end up doing something. No,
I don't know.
You don't see.
It just was.
It's a tough business.
It was a weird time. It was a bad time, and I was really down and out. And I'm flipping through the channels, and Turner Classic Movies, Robert Osborne and Alec Baldwin are introducing Rocky as like the movie that's coming on, and they're talking about it. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to watch Rocky. I haven't watched Rocky since I was 15. And I sat down, caught it from the very beginning of the movie. I watched the whole thing. And it absolutely rocked my world.
Yeah.
Watching that movie when you're 30 or 32 or whatever, and
his age in the
totally
movie.
down and out,
Yeah.
when you're Rocky, before he gets his shot, and watching it when you're 15, you got the rest of your whole life in front of you, and you're going to go to film school, and you're going to make movies, and it's like a completely different experience. And it just hit me
in the gut.
It was like it hit me in the core. It hit my soul. I'm getting like emotional.
Yeah. Well, we talked about as we get older. You and I we always say we're not shy to say like we cry over everything nowadays.
And Rocky, and now since then, so that's like 7 years ago or so. I've watched this movie like no less than 25 times.
Yeah.
Like in the last 7 years, and like we talk about with something like a completely different kind of movie, but like we talk about with Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where you can watch that movie and see things about it.
Yeah. The remake, yeah.
I watched that movie so many times after that because it hit me on such like an emotional and like spiritual level that every time I would see things, and we can talk about some of those things today, and I would see new things, and watching it this time, I was like more emotional about it than I've ever. Like I get more emotional watching it now.
Yeah. Well, because you know why? I think it's because you realize the cost. As you get older, you realize the implications. Like there's certain movies, not to go off on a path, but like I can't watch now. I don't think I can ever rewatch Cannibal Holocaust now because of, what I mean? Because it's so gruesome, the animals getting killed.
Yeah, but
even,
something like Pulp Fiction is like for completely different reasons. Like I don't know if I'll ever watch.
Oh, because
you
just wore the shit out of it because it was
shit
an
out of
era,
it, and it's like you're at a different part of your life.
Yeah.
Now. And here's the circumstance where like I'm a different part of my life, and it mean so much more to me.
Yeah.
There's other movies, and there's so many movies from college that I feel like I should rewatch, because I went to see a screening of Truffaut's 400 Blows a few years back, and I hadn't seen it since film school. And I liked it in film school. It was my favorite film that we watched during the French New Wave class semester. But as an adult, watching that movie was so much different than watching it as like a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
It was just a whole different experience, and so Rocky did that for me, and it's just
weird. I guess as you get older, you just
you have
more
bring your
life
experience.
Yeah, you realize the implications of stuff, like all kinds of it's really. I wonder if it's. I guess you can do it with music too, but it's just telling how powerful the art of filmmaking or cinema is. That that happens. You can stay away from a movie for 20 years, rewatch it, and it's just a whole other angle of it.
Something totally different to you.
And especially if you grew up watching it, like you knew it like wallpaper.
Yeah.
It's
and it was
crazy.
It was really interesting to see it. Not having watched the first one, of course, I had watched 3 and 4, whatever. There became a time where the first Rocky wasn't being played on television that much anymore.
Yeah.
But the other ones did.
Yeah, 2
that
through
played
4,
like every other week.
Yeah.
Even when we were in college, 4 was on all the time.
4 became the pinnacle of like 80s, like we just brought up in the Chuck Norris Invasion USA cast. In 85, it was like Cobra, Rambo. That's in that inch, it's all Stallone. Rocky 4 was like was just as big as like anything against the USSR at the time. So
Now, so before we get into like what I feel is the brilliance of this movie, like what's your relationship with Rocky? Because I know you were never as big of a fan of it.
I was never really a huge sports fan growing up. I played baseball. I love baseball, but still to this day, I don't really watch anything religiously. So Rocky, I'd seen, but I never saw it on, I guess, in circulation as much as you had. I went to other movies, and then I jumped on the Clint Eastwood's bandwagon, so I watched a lot of his stuff. But certainly Stallone, Rambo held a sweeter place in my heart.
Yeah, well, First Blood is another.
Well, I mean, you can look at First
movie.
Blood. Almost John Rambo is
totally underrated.
Is almost sad of a character as Roberto Balboa. You know what I mean? It's like it's just these sad characters, and you're right. Stallone doesn't get the well, maybe he does now, but certain people who
there was a long time where he didn't get his due.
Yeah, because people don't realize.
Like when Copland came out, people were like, "Oh, he's so good," and it's like he is good in Copland.
Yeah,
but he. I wasn't as surprised because he's amazing in Rocky, but I think people think he's not acting in Rocky, which he is. But I think there's a way of there's a way of not like he's just being himself, which is not true. He's playing a character. But First Blood, he's amazing.
Yeah,
he's fantastic.
I was crying when
But he loses his shit at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that whole thing with him about
heartbreaking.
Jimmy and his freaking shine box.
Nothing is over.
Yeah, it's so sad, and it's just like you're right. When you put on your adult hat and you watch things, it's in a different
and
context.
Of course, that's an era. Like it would have meant something different to our parents than it did us, and it does us now because.
I mean, can you imagine you're a Vietnam vet sitting in there in that theater, and you're hearing them, that monologue about Agent Orange and all that, and and especially vets who weren't being treated right when they got home and all that kind of bullshit. So. Yeah. Anyway, to answer your question, so Rocky wasn't a big connection to me, but I knew people like yourself who just. It was religious to them, that series. They loved boxing. I don't feel so much you are as big of a boxing fan.
No, it's not about the boxing.
I know people who are big boxing fans, and then Rocky's their shit. And then they sadly hadn't heard of the other earlier movies.
I mean, I grew up playing sports, so the idea of the sport aspect of it, I was a big, in a way, even though I was like a reluctant jock in high school, I would say that I was a very active athlete for the school. I was the assistant captain of my hockey team, which was, a varsity hockey team and stuff like that. So even though boxing wasn't my thing, the idea of sports and competition, and which I'm like the least competitive person I know. I'm not even interested in games aren't even that fun because it's to me winning's not important.
Yeah.
But the idea of, for me, even when I played hockey, it wasn't so much about beating the other team. It was about doing my best
for yourself.
Yeah,
as opposed
like
to
that was my goal.
Yeah.
I want to do the best I can do, not so much. It wasn't about like winning, or what. It was like, can I do my best? And so in that way, I relate to a lot of sports movies like Rocky
and Slapshot, and and you've always said to me, which I found interesting, is that like you find a lot, not to get too philosophical and philosophize, but about a lot of people's problems are the what children are put through. Of being a sports parent, and having their kids' emotions completely destroyed because the fathers or the mothers living their vicariously through the kid's career. And I always find that a beautiful example of that in the original Bad News Bears movie, where there's that part where the other side of the other team, Vic Morrow is the father of the other team, and he starts like chastising his son in front of everybody. And
I would witness things like that.
Yeah, and Walter Matthau, everybody stops and it's like, it's just, and it's really like, and that you're right, that's certainly they I think they put a reality show on a couple of years ago. I forget what it was, like the little teeny gladiators or whatever. And it's like, or and it's sad that people can't realize, and I think that fucks people up as they grow up, that they're just institutionalized, that they have to succeed, they have to be competitive. It's a game, they're going to win.
It's a weird catch-22, and it's a tangent that we should get off of so we can talk about the movie. But it is that weird, catch-22 in that you have like, there's all this shit about like every kid gets a
trophy now.
Yeah, there's no strikes anymore, and every kid gets a trophy, and it's like this like softening on a generation. But at the same time, there's this other end of the spectrum where like kids cry when they strike out because they feel like it is the end of the world because their parents make them feel that way about it. Yeah. It's like there's got to be like a happy medium where kids can be competitive, but it's not to excess. But that's a whole different.
But so
when we talk about bad news, when we do bad news,
we do the Bad News Bears cast, we can get into the ramifications of evil Vic Morrow in that movie. So this. Then when we come to college, so that got you into Stallone, and then you liked everything Stallone. Then when I got into college, that was your thing. We had a picture of Rocky up on the wall, and I'm sure you're conscious of this, but you used to style your clothes after Rocky with the leather jacket, and the hat, and like that. And I even wrote down on my notes like this is where Rocky / Blake got their clothes. That was the clothes.
That's true.
That style.
Although that leather coat came from you, I think. Not that I got it from you.
Yeah.
But like you and your dad had coats like that.
Yeah, we used to wear leathers.
I ended up getting a leather coat like that.
And that was an arrow though for you. That and that plastic bag, which is a whole other story. When you used to throw up because you had your throat.
There was a time there where I was ill for a long time.
He had cut his throat and then it never healed. So every morning the acid. So it doesn't sound like you have it like anemia or anything like that.
It was a bad time.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
That was another bad time.
Yeah, we digress.
But so Rocky.
So Stallone ends up showing it to Irvin Winkler and Robert Chartoff.
Yeah, and he's the one that he talked to
in the casting session. He was going for an open casting call. And I've known this story since I was 5. My father's always told me this. Stallone, they bought the script. They didn't want Stallone to be in it. And this is always...
Well, I don't know if it was so much them. It was United Artists who was going to actually...
Whoever the big daddy was, they didn't want Stallone in it. And this has always been like almost the... For me, from where I grew up, this is even more famous than Rocky the movie, was that this is, you hold to your guns. It's like the Orson Welles, getting freaking Citizen Kane made. You hold to your guns, and at what point do you say, I never heard of someone who held to their guns and it didn't happen. And that's like, I'm sure there's a lot of that in the world, but Stallone wanted to be the lead. They didn't want to give it to him, and he kept holding out.
They were willing to make it a big budget movie if they could get a big budget star for it.
They were looking at Burt Reynolds. They were looking at Ryan O'Neal at the time. They were looking at James Caan. A lot of the big guys of the 70s, maybe even Warren Beatty. They first offered Stallone $25,000 for the script. He said no. They kept egging him up. They were up to like $350,000, which
if he would just sell the script.
Just give him the script.
And for a guy that is like you're saying,
he had $100 in his bank account. If not, he's sleeping from thing to thing. He's a struggling actor. He's not getting anywhere.
I mean, this would be something that could come up later in this discussion. But just to give you an example, there is a common misconception, huge misconception with this movie, which is the training and drinking the raw eggs.
Yeah.
that has become a thing that when you're training, raw eggs for some reason
For the protein, I guess.
is a training food. The actual story behind that in the movie actually doesn't have anything to do with boxing training.
Yeah.
It's that Rocky's poor. When Stallone was poor, he lived in when he had a place to live, it was a tiny apartment.
Small.
Yeah, like not actually very far from here. Close to where I used to live, somewhere like in Hell's Kitchen.
And he'd say he can sit on his bed, he can open his window and touch the front door at the same time. It was like almost like the Blues Brothers part, where they have like a Bunsen burner they're using like with a coat hanger.
He's living in this tiny little room, so it's a tiny little room, so he doesn't have a kitchen.
You're right, it's not even an apartment, it's a room. And I bet you he didn't even have a bathroom. It was like one of those old places
probably
where
it was like a boarding house.
Yeah, you have to go to a hall.
And
there's probably a phone in the hallway,
Because he couldn't he didn't have a refrigerator. He didn't have a stove. So what he would do is he'd buy groceries, and in the winter, and when it was cool outside, he'd leave them like on the fire escape.
Yeah, because it'd be cold out.
It would be chilly out. Now, how he didn't get like food poisoning or anything? Who is this?
It's the 70s and 60s.
So the idea of the eggs was Stallone used to do this in real life. Was he thought, well, like people eat eggs for breakfast. It's got protein. It's got nutrition. What does it matter if you cook them or not?
Yeah.
So he would buy eggs. He'd leave them on the fireplace,
and he would just eat that
and that would be his breakfast. He was having eggs for breakfast, but he couldn't cook them, so he just drank them raw.
See, I guess the misconception would be because people who are either trying to gain muscle mass and all that,
but Stallone was always very much into physical fitness.
So I would think of someone in the Rocky Balboa character where he can't he can't afford to go get steaks or meats, then that was the substitute. You're just chugging, the protein in the eggs.
But it's because
he does like 5 eggs, I think, right?
Yeah, it's
or
like
4
5
eggs.
or 6.
Jeez.
But it's because Rocky doesn't have a stove.
Yeah.
To cook the eggs. That's why Rocky does it.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's protein for breakfast.
Yeah.
But the fact that the raw has to do with the fact that he can't.
He's destitute. Yeah.
That he can't cook eggs.
Yeah.
So that's like just to show you, like, for a guy who lives in a room where he doesn't have a refrigerator or stove, he has to eat raw eggs for breakfast so that he has breakfast. $350 for a script.
$350,000.
$350,000 for a script to turn it down.
In early 70s. That's not even today's money.
That's when a dollar was worth a dollar.
Yeah, I mean, $350,000 you would think probably would be close to, like, say, maybe, I don't know, like maybe like $10, $15 million nowadays.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that much, but it's certainly...
I mean, it's more than $1 million, I would think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe it's like $5-10 million. I mean, it's a shitload of money. So what he ends up doing is they agree to cast him reluctantly after everything is said and done, but on the condition that Stallone will continue work as a writer without a fee, and that he would work as an actor for scale.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and the budget of the movie was going to be a lot lower than they would have made.
Yeah, they were going to make the movie for $2 million, and because of that, the United Artists chopped it in half, gave it to $1 million, and then the stipulation was the two producers, Winkler and Chardoff, and if it went over $1 million, they had to cover it. And I think the movie went over $1 million by $200,000, and they both had to mortgage their house for, And funny note, when we were looking into this, that the thing that cost the most money on the film was the makeup effects, and which I think are phenomenal in this movie.
Oh yeah,
because I was trying to look at Burgess Meredith, and I can't tell if he's just old or if they really messed his face up.
They really messed up his nose, and he's got cauliflower
ears. I noticed
ears,
that.
And Michael Westmore later became a big Star Trek Next Generation guy. His daughter Mackenzie Westmore is the host of Sci-Fi's Face Off, which is a makeup competition show, and now he's an advisor on that show.
Oh,
but way before he was doing Star Trek Next Generation,
doing Rocky,
and before he was doing Face Off, Michael Westmore was doing, and even Rocky has Stallone wears makeup through the whole movie. His
eyebrows,
his eyebrows
are beat up,
because
he talks about the nose not being broken
from years of being. So he's wearing little prosthetics through the entire movie.
Before we get too far away from the supposed inspiration, the Chuck Webner Muhammad Ali fight was the 24th of March, 1975. So that's pretty close to when the movie came out.
Yeah.
The time frame of him getting the inspiration of writing it. And there is a great documentary, I think it's on Netflix streaming, called The Real Rocky Balboa. If anybody wants to go and look up this guy Chuck Webner and see the similarities between the Rocky and the character.
I've seen it. It is.
Yeah. And it's only like 50 minutes, I think.
It's one of those like ESPN.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, on that. So then they start looking to cast the the plate of actors, and they look at Lee Strasberg as freaking as Mickey's character, and Lee Strasberg, who's like one of the greatest, in some people's opinions, acting teachers of all time. He wanted too high of a fee, which is kind of a joke in itself there.
And Stallone really wanted Lee J. Cobb,
who I'm a huge fan of Lee J. Cobb, which is interesting because Lee J. Cobb is an actor who I think some people will know. He's in 12 Angry Men. He's in Eastwood movie called Coogan's Bluff, but he's also
The Exorcist.
He's in. Who is he playing? The Exorcist?
He's like the cop or so. He's like the.
Oh, okay, yeah,
the detective investigating what's going on.
His big thing, he's on the waterfront as well. He's the guy that I think Brando gets.
He's
a big
amazing.
Fist fight.
I mean, he's a great actor. He's such a great character actor. Very intense.
Yeah, and
it would have been a really interesting performance.
Yeah, and I think
but he didn't
died.
want to audition.
Yeah, and so a lot of people,
he refused to audition, and Burgess Meredith was happy to audition.
God bless Burgess Meredith. You know what I mean? And you look at him, he's just like a nice, like small guy.
By all accounts, I mean, you never hear anything bad about him.
But and then they wanted John Boorman, who was huge at the time, Deliverance, Point Blank. I can't think of Hell in the Pacific. They asked him to direct. He didn't want to direct it. He said no, thank you. The other actress's name, who I forget, that they wanted to have her as Adrian, and she got into a money dispute, so she backed out. The whole Carl Weathers thing, where Carl Weathers, they were looking to get some real people at the time to be. They wanted, well, first of all, they wanted Harvey Keitel to play Paulie, and Harvey Keitel wouldn't do it. They wanted to try to get some real boxers to be in it, but to play the roles, and they had I forget the guy's name they actually wanted to get in it, and he almost Carrie Snodgrass. If you saw her, she was the one that was offered the role for Adrian, but she dropped out because there was some sort of dispute with money. They wanted Kenny Norton to play Apollo Creed in it, but the problem was Kenny Norton weighed 230 pounds, so he would have dwarfed Stallone in the ring in the long shots. Yeah. So they end up going with Carl Weathers, but you of course know the Carl Weathers story where they.
Well, I know Carl Weathers was a football player. He went to college for theater, became a professional football player, I think, for the Oakland Raiders. And then when his career stopped or ended, he decided he was going to pursue acting, which is what he always wanted to do. And he went in for an audition, and they asked him to do the scene with Stallone, with the writer.
Yeah, they started like sparring, kind of like just throwing jabs.
But first he says,
well, he hit Stallone in the face like twice, and Stallone's like, "Why? Whoa, like you hit me twice."
And then he's like, well, can we get like a real actor in here to do the lines with me? And they're like, well, this is the guy that's going to be here. But just like his attitude. I mean, he's great. Here's the thing about it. The low budget, I would say, we talk about a perfect scripts, perfect movies. And to me, my personal opinion is this movie is pretty damn close to being perfect. And the only things in my personal opinion, the only things I would say are flawed about it are things that are because the budget is so low. Having to reverse the shot on the stairs because they only shot it, panning out, zooming out instead of zooming in. They needed it zooming in, so they had to reverse the shot.
Yeah,
there's just
real.
There's little things
stuff
where like they had restrictions of how much they could shoot, which I think worked out beautifully in some ways, and I'll point out specific shots. But those are the only things that I think are really wrong with this movie. In a way, like the fact that Stallone fought for it, the fact that the budget was so low, the fact that these actors didn't want to do it or couldn't do it, it was like all a blessing.
Yeah, all the big
names
said no.
I don't feel like
it would have been the same
anything. I don't think you could have made this movie better. I think Talia Shire, who is not, she never had like a huge career. I mean, she plays Connie because her brother's Francis Ford Coppola, and she's fantastic in this.
Well, she was looking a way to get out. Well, to finish the Apollo Creed, the Carl Weathers. So they say to him like, "Well, this is the guy you're going to be acting with." And he's like, "Well, he better get better." And then Stallone, me, I would have had him leave, but Stallone's like, "Okay," so that's how he gets casted. And Talia Shire wanted to try to get out of the shadow of her brother, Francis Ford Coppola, and she'd been in The Godfather. And it's interesting to note that in 3 years, she's in Oscar-winning films: Godfather, Godfather 2, and Rocky, and as is Spinell.
Yeah.
When we get to Joe Spinell, he's also in the three of them. That in 3 years they get 3 Oscar.
Then same year, Spinell's also in Taxi Driver.
Yeah, I mean, because he's got the Stallone connection. So they hire Talia Shire, and who's sick at the time. She's got the flu, so that's why they say like her performance is somewhat subdued, is because she's sick as a dog, and she doesn't want to get near Stallone to get him sick. And that's the scene where he's trying to kiss her, and she doesn't want to because she wants to get him sick. And then
Burt Young.
It's
Burt Young is like
amazing.
He is Paulie.
Yeah, he makes the movie. They originally were going to have it be Talia Shire, Adrian's was going to be a Jewish family instead of Italian, so the role of Paulie was going to be like a Jewish mother. Then they changed the Jewish mother into like the Italian brother, and then, like I said, Harvey Keitel. They finally got Burt Young, and Burt Young I think is great. And it's like, I don't know if you want to love or hate Burt Young in the movie.
Well, that's the beauty of that's how good he is in it.
Because you're like,
that he's awful.
He's a dick, but then at the same time, when he has his blowouts and he says stuff, you kind of get a understanding of where he's coming from. Where he's like, I haven't done anything, all my life. I've been taking care of you.
That's kind of the beautiful thing about this movie. It's like, yes, we see Rocky. He's 30 years old, never had a shot. He says to Mick, like, well, where were you 10 years ago? Like, you're here now, but where the fuck were you when I needed you? He's like, well, if you needed my help, you should have asked. He's like, I asked, but you weren't ready. You didn't listen to me. This movie, they're all Rocky.
Yeah, exactly. That's it represents the entire underclass of people who lower income or whatever, that you're just in that job and
they're all people that didn't live up to the potential that they
for whatever reason, if they never knew they had it, or just because they tried like Rocky and they just got stuck
and I think that's why it's so loved.
Yeah,
I think it's because we all identify with
and it's interesting that you get a character study of 3 people in the movie. I mean, Rocky is profiled, but you have the character study of Adrian, who's now, she's, everyone says she's getting old. She's going to become some nurses, an old maid. You don't have a good body, so you better use your mind. The brothers even mean to her.
I mean, it's one of those one of those weird circumstances. Like, we'll make her ugly by giving her glasses. But Talia Shire is beautiful.
Yeah, and she looks great with those glasses.
I know, but especially when he takes off the hat and he take off those glasses, you're like, oh my god, there is like this gem. There's like this diamond in the rough. Right here.
And
it's beautiful,
and it's you do get a profile of the whole, like a sliver, which I guess you can transpose any place else of this working class situation. I mean, and the whole frustrations where, Paulie's drinking all the freaking time. Interesting that I guess the whole reason why he wants to get a job with Joe Spinell, Gazzo, is because he wants to get out of the freezers, and I guess it's not really put in as much as that. His backstory he created was that he has arthritis, and that and it's hurting his joints. And what he used to do prior to each take was he'd pour turpentine on his hands. I don't know what that would do, but that's some freaking character development right there, or to get him to just feel like he has arthritis. So, and then we have the great Joe Spinell. Joe Spinell playing Gazzo. Gazzo was supposed to originally be in the script Stallone's older brother, but then they said, the director said it'll be too close to, again, on the waterfront.
So he becomes a loan shark.
Yeah,
Rocky works for.
But was he going to be a loan shark older brother anyway? Like he maybe be in the mom, that kind of a thing?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
But then Spinell, who we love wholeheartedly at Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers, he insisted that the name be Gazzo because he had a distant uncle who was, I guess, a Gazzo who maybe was a loan shark. And I think he has a great role. We were talking prior to this about it. He's really a nice guy in this movie.
Yeah,
he's not a dick at all.
He's not. I mean, he gets. There's a speech that we'll talk about where Rocky's talking to Little Marie, and it's about, he's saying like, you don't hang out with if you hang out with dopes, you're gonna become a dope. They're not gonna. At the end of the day, it's like, there's this girl and she's gone. I'm gonna use a bad word. She was a whore.
Yeah.
And and all this stuff. And he's trying to teach this little girl who's hanging out with a bunch of like older kids at the hoagie shop, who's got a foul mouth on her, trying to smoke a cigarette. I mean, she's got to be what? How old do you think she is?
13, 14 maybe, or younger.
So he's going to walk her home. He asked her about her brother. So he, and you get the sense that he knows her brother, and that's how he knows her. And he's going to walk her home, and he's giving her this speech that's like, you don't hang out with them. And it's all these things like, who you hang out with is what you're going to become. You hang out with smart kids, you're going to become a smart kid. You hang out with this. And then he says, like, and then when you grow up, you're not going to be able to get married because nobody's going to care about who you are. They're going to think about your reputation.
Yeah, and it's really a nice. You think about in that scene, Rocky's really trying to do like good, and he doesn't need to.
Yeah, no, he doesn't need to. It's a heartwarming scene. It's a scene that United Artists wanted to cut out of the movie. John G. Avildsen was like, no, this is why we love Rocky.
Yeah,
it's because he'll do this. But at the same time, he's giving her this speech. Rocky's talking about himself.
Yeah.
And he's talking about everybody else in the movie. But he's telling me in the speech, it's like he hangs out with loan sharks. He never finished school. He's giving the speech, but he's really talking about himself. So when she's like, screw off, creepo.
Yeah.
It's like a slap in the face. Because it's like...
Yeah, there's no one's ever going to, it's like a thankless job. You tried to do good. She says, fuck off or whatever, screw off, creepo. And then it's just like, why bother? And then it's like even Saturday, he's just walking home like that.
And even, he goes to Mick and he says, why you always give me a hard time? It's like, you don't want to know.
You want to know? And that's a funny, but do you want to know?
He's like, yeah, I want to know. And everybody stops. And he's like, because you could have been great.
Yeah.
And instead you're a debt collector for some 2-bit loan shark. And so, like, that speech is, like, that's why I bring it up with, like, Spinell's. Like, Spinell's really a good guy. But it's, like, this reputation of, like, what a loan shark is and everything. And kind of precedes him. And and Rocky gets caught up in it. Because, Gazzo gives him money to take Adrian out. He's like, "Oh, it's this girl you're going out with. How do you know going out with the girl?" He's like, I
know things. I know, yeah.
I hear things,
I mean,
Rock.
he's nice. His driver's a dick. You would think that he would be the driver's character, where he's like, "Fuck you," whatever. But he's giving him pointers. He's telling him. He's even covering for him when Rocky is not man enough or doesn't have the heart. Or has the heart, he doesn't want to break the guy's thumbs. He's saying like, "Look, you're embarrassing me. It's my, he's making excuses for him." And I have nothing but admiration for Spinell in this movie. How
gives
great
him like $500
that he doesn't want back
for training.
Yeah, he's like, here, take her out. Here's that when they have that.
He's at their wedding in 2.
Yeah, and he comes to the fight at the end, and I guess they cut out, but he put like $3,000 on Rocky to win. Supposedly that gets cut in the first film. So Spinell is like a really good guy in this, and he doesn't really lean on Rocky. You think he'd be like the dick that would give Rocky, more, ammunition to want to get out of that. But he's a real nice guy.
It's all part of, when I say this movie is like perfection, is like all that casting we're talking about. It's a wonderful script. John G. Avildsen does a wonderful job directing it.
Yeah.
It's beautifully shot. And then it's all those little things, like that scene with Little Marie, or like the drive, or like Joe Spinell's driver being such an asshole. It's like such a weird little thing that gives so like much depth to the movie that's like it's throwaway. It doesn't advance the story at all. But what it shows is that like Rocky is in a world where there's not a lot of heart. There are a lot of. Joe Spinell tells us, he's like, Rocky, some people hate just because they gotta hate.
Yeah.
And
Tony Gazzo.
And we see that Rocky. This whole time we're building up that there's this big like galoot named Rocky Balboa who is like all heart.
And that's not that's something in this world that sadly people don't care about it. They're dime a dozen.
And just the way, and like there's just so much good about this movie.
Before we get off of it too, Cher also auditioned for Adrian as well as Susan Sarandon, and they said Susan Sarandon was too good looking.
Oh,
they didn't give it to her. Yeah,
a hot piece of ass.
And it was probably because she
still
would, yeah,
let alone 1976.
And she had the association because she was in Joe, the director. So so it all came to fruition in this little, and
originally John G. Avildsen didn't want to direct it because he's like, I don't want to direct a boxing movie.
Yeah, because
they're just like, just read the script, and then he says, "It's like I open up the script, and the first scene is this guy." It's really the second scene, but he's like, there's this guy talking to his turtles.
Yeah, Cuff and Link.
And that's the other thing. It's like that's another thing that's just so. It's just such a beautiful movie.
And
it's like he's reciting, he's rehearsing this joke. That we don't know what it is. He's rehearsing this thing. He's like, there's more flies than moss, and we don't know what he's talking about. And we see a picture of him of when he's little, and he's like, we're setting up like this world, and he lives in this.
And you also get the feeling that it's like we talk about a lot. One of those big themes with adults who are big kids, where like he still looks back on those years as how much easier it was as a child, because he picks up that picture of him and he looks at his himself, and that's like almost going into like, he back in when times were easier when you're little for a lot of people, and you don't realize until you get older what you had until you have it lost, if you're able to have a childhood like that.
He's at the end of his rope, really.
And I wonder, do you think that this is one of these movies where you only know now Monday morning quarterbacking, but the detriment of having such a low budget didn't impede it, but actually helped it?
Yeah, well, that's, I want to make a point where I said the things I have, the issues I have with it are little things that have to do with the budget, but there's so many great things about it that probably wouldn't have been that way because of the low budget. Just the way things are shot. One of my favorite scenes in the movie, possibly the best scene in the movie. It's when Mickey comes to his apartment to ask him if
now,
he
do you
can be
think
his manager.
in that scene is Mickey being honest with him? Do you think Mickey's looking to put his hand out like, hey, look, you have a chance, I want to ride your coattails? Or do you think, because Mickey's such a dick to him in the scenes prior, especially when he gives his locker to, I think the guy's name is Dipper.
Yeah.
We know Dipper because Dipper is Stan Shaw. Mm-hmm. Stan Shaw is the gentleman who plays the African-American cop in Monster Squad.
Yes.
As well as, funny enough, he's in Harlem Nights. He plays a stuttering boxer where he's like, I'm gonna knock him the
And when he comes
fuck
over
out.
and he's talking around, he talks to Mickey and he's like, you put my stuff on Skid Row, and because I gave it to Dipper, and as he's walking away, he goes, hey, dig your locker, man.
Oh yeah.
And then you hear, as he's walking away off camera, you hear Mickey goes, dig his locker. Like Mickey thinks it's hilarious.
So later on, when he goes to Rocky's house to try to, he needs a manager, and this is the scene you're talking about where that Stallone's monologue is completely ad-libbed. Do you think what do you think Mickey's intentions are? Do you know?
I think, we find out that Mickey thinks that he at one time had the talent to be great, but I think.
And Mickey also had a career like that, too.
Mickey comes, and that's part of it, is he's trying to explain to him
that he had this great career, but how much better his career would have been had he had a manager. And how interesting is it prior to the internet and World Wide Web and cell phones and picture phones, everybody has these. Yeah. I love that. They have these little clippings in their hand.
I got the newspaper clipping.
And everybody has.
He's got pictures of all his fights in his
Every
wallet.
boxer must have a picture. Hey, look, did you see I made the fight here? Or Mickey even takes out like the old 8x10 of what he used to look like in the 20s.
He's not taking very good care of that picture.
Yeah, so it's like you think about how amazing that even a supposed asshole or a tough guy like Mickey comes off, and it's just like they all hold on to that 5 minutes of fame in their pockets forever, and they probably the drinkers or whatever, they open it up and they look at it every night. It's sad.
It's a sad and beautiful sentiment.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I think Mickey is trying to capitalize on it.
Yeah.
I think Mickey sees Rocky's got a chance, and Mickey wants a chance to,
finally.
I think he thinks Rocky. He tells Rocky, you had talent, you could have been great, but you weren't great. You didn't do it, and I think Mickey is in it for himself to a certain extent, and it's such a beautiful. I mean, Burgess Meredith is so great in the movie, so great in that scene, and it's so telling. Rocky's throwing darts. He doesn't even have a dartboard. He's just throwing them at his bathroom door. I mean, it's heartbreaking.
And he wasn't even looking at the pictures. Mickey's taking out the articles, and he's not even making eye contact.
Because Rocky knows.
Yeah.
Rocky's not stupid. I mean, he's not educated.
Yeah.
But he's not stupid.
He has street smarts.
And he knows it's heartbreaking because he can't even. I think he loses a lot of respect for Mickey right there. And he can't even look at him anymore. He walks into the bathroom.
Because he knows that Mickey's there for that reason.
Yeah.
And that kind of
he goes in there and Mickey is he's talking to a closed door.
Yeah.
And when the door closes on him, the bathroom door closes on him, just like, the way Burgess Meredith, he puts his head up against the door. He's like, he's seeing, there was this bright light of a chance, and he's seeing it pass him by all of a sudden. He had this crappy life, and he had this crappy life of a fighter, and now he sees that not only can he help this guy who needs help, but he can help himself.
He can redeem almost his life of what he.
And Rocky doesn't want anything to do with it, and he's walking out, and he touches his head and realizes he doesn't have it. He opens the door, and he touches his head and realizes he doesn't have his hat, and he closes the door and grabs his hat and he puts it on, and because the door closed, Rocky thinks he left, and Rocky comes out, sees that Mickey's still there, and just goes back in, and it's heartbreaking to see Mickey. Because Mickey knows that he knows, you know, and
he's almost begging there.
He finally leaves, and he's walking down the stairs, and Stallone comes out, and you're saying this improv outburst. It's the only time we see it comes out 2 times that Rocky is scared.
Yeah,
and it comes out at the end of the movie when he's laying with Adrian.
The night before, another scene they wanted to cut, which Stallone says
for budgetary reasons
could be the most important scene in the whole movie.
You can't cut that. You can't cut that. He lays down. There's build up to it, which I would love to. We need to talk about when he goes to the Spectrum and sees the posters, because that is another really important scene. But he comes back and he's laid down with Adrian. He says, "I can't do it."
He's like, he's scared. Yeah.
He's like, no matter what, it's like ridiculous that they would even put me in the ring with this guy. But if I can just go the distance, like I'm not going to win. There's no way I can win. And it's a beautiful scene. They did it in 1 take because Stallone had to beg them. He's like, just one, we'll do once. But this other scene, it's like Stallone.
Where Stallone's
in the bathroom.
The outburst of
Mickey walks out.
Mickey walks down the stairs and gets like to the first landing and stops and hears Stallone yelling. And he kind of listens.
Yelling. He's like, and it's all about. It's the first time we see that like Stallone knows everything that's going on. He knows that his life is shit. He knows that like. Everything fucking sucks. Where he lives fucking sucks. It's it's a shithole, and he is petrified that Apollo Creed is basically gonna kill him in the ring.
Yeah, he
is scared shitless, and it's absolutely it's beautiful. It's the only time we see Rocky really. Completely open and honest, and it's because he doesn't think anybody's there. Like he's yelling it to nobody. He's yelling it at Mickey, but he doesn't even really know that Mickey hears it. He needs to get it out. And then my favorite shot in the entire movie, Mickey comes out. It's on the street. Mickey comes down and he walks down the street into the distance. We see the elevated train in the background, and then we see Rocky come out of the front door and runs over to Mickey.
Yeah, stops him.
And it's played 1 shot in the distance. If that was today, there'd be fucking GoPro cams on their hats.
Yeah. And you can hear their dialogue.
We'd be up in their face and everything. But it's played 1 long shot. We don't hear what they're saying.
You don't need to.
But you know what they're saying.
He said, I'm sorry.
He hugs them. They shake hands. You can tell that he's like, I'm really sorry. Yes, I want your help. Thank you for coming. And yes, like, we'll do a shit. Well, he puts his hand out like, this is our deal. Like, you're going to be my manager.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt in my mind, like, yes, it's a beautifully composed shot. And yes, the 70s was an era where things were moved slower. But there's no doubt in my mind that partially why that takes place in 1 long shot and we don't hear what they're saying is because they don't have the time or the money to shoot coverage on it.
Yeah. Well, they don't even need to. You're right. But at the time, they
don't need
budgetary restraints.
But had they shot coverage on it, that shot would probably not be as strong.
Yeah.
And they very easily could have got a close-up of Rocky or even just a closer 2 shot of them like making the deal. Yeah. But it doesn't need it.
No, not
and
after
that's a perfect example as to like things are done in 1 take and with no coverage because there was just no time and money to move the camera and do it again. Yeah. And I think you're right. I think the movie is better for it in so many circumstances, and that's just one. One of my other favorite shots is the promoter. He calls in. He goes to Mickey. Gives it was like Mickey wants to see Apollo Creed needs sparring partners.
Yeah.
So he goes to the office. The one's like, "Oh, you must be Mr. Balboa," and he wants to keep the card.
Yeah,
which is just like
so
like a little sentimental. Like, this is a big deal for me. I want to keep it. And he walks in, and the promoter, he's like, "I just want you to know, I'll be a great sparring partner. I won't take any cheap shots." And the guy's like, "You don't know why you're here." He's like, "Rocky, how would you like to fight the heavyweight champion?"
And he says no.
And he's like, "No."
Yeah, and he's there. It's almost like he doesn't have the. I don't want to say what has the balls, but he doesn't have the. That could be right there. He said, "Sure," and that could be the.
He says no.
Yeah, he doesn't even have the confidence in himself. That's what he's been working for his whole life.
Yeah,
is to for that moment, and then he gets that moment. And I think he's just overwhelmed by it. He's like, "No, I can't."
And he knows it's ridiculous.
But don't you find people like everyone always says in your life, you have to take risks.
Yeah.
You know that. And we learned that from the most famous people for whatever reason in the world. They did it because they took a risk. They trusted themselves. They took a leap, whatever leap of faith, and. So many times people get into those situations where it's the most important decision you could probably make in your whole life, and what do? Their automatic reaction is to say, "No, I'm not comfortable with it. This is not right."
It's scary to be taken out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and then that happens, and what's his first reaction? No, because
there's a couple of back and forths, and then just before the scene cuts out, we're like by the desk, like over the ass of the promoter.
Yeah.
Shot of Rocky, and it starts to zoom in.
Yeah, and it's like one of the only times they've done that.
There's like one or two zooms in the picture, but it zooms in, and it's like when Rocky is like he's saying no, he's given them the biggest chance of his entire life. I don't know if you ever noticed this, but just before it cuts to the next scene, he looks right at the lens, and it's like
he's breaking the fourth wall almost.
Yeah, and he's almost like.
What do I do?
Yeah, like what am I doing? Or like holy, like fuck, I'm fucked.
Yeah,
and he looks right at you as an audience member, and he's just like, he doesn't say anything. It's just right before it cuts, he looks right down the barrel of the lens, and it's just like he looks right at you, and you're like, I don't know, man, I don't know what you should do.
I don't know, Rocky. Yeah, yeah, and then he ends up doing it. He ends up saying yes, and like you said, to get to the build up, he's almost being taken advantage of, where that's when he kind of has that outburst at Paulie too. Yeah, he's like, "What do you want from me? Everybody wants something from me." And finally, I'm kind of glad that he comes around with Paulie. He's like, "Yeah, if you want to make money off my name, make money off my name." Yeah. But so then you have the local news people coming that they want to watch him work out in the meat locker. He's doing that, and then you see there's certainly the press conference, the big press conference he has with Carl Weathers, where there's certainly, they're kind of manhandling him. And
Paulie's like, "Why do you let him talk you like that?"
He's like, "I don't care," but he does.
But and when he leaves,
he says, "I do care about it."
Beautiful shot. He stops in frame. It racks focus to Rocky in the foreground. He goes, "When I said it didn't bother me."
It does.
And she's standing. She's like, "Yeah," and it's cold. She's standing on the porch with her arms crossed. It racks focus to her, and then he's like, "It does." Yeah. And then he walks away, and that's the end.
It's so sad.
Because there's so many little things of this movie. It's such a beautiful script.
And
such a beautiful what a.
What do you think of the pacing versus nowadays? I don't think it would have had the same pacing.
Surprisingly, watching it this time, I was shocked at how short the fight is.
Yeah, because and you think about it's a boxing film. You have a boxing match at the beginning. And you have a boxing match at the end, and there's not that much. It's almost, again, I guess, like The Wrestler. There's not a lot of wrestling in the movie.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there's scenes, of course, where he's going into a gymnasium and people are training and working out and stuff like that. But it's not like, say, a Raging Bull, where Raging Bull, there's like at least because I guess you're going off of Jake LaMotta, but there's a half a dozen to over a dozen fights in Raging Bull.
Yeah.
Where this movie, it's just about this fight.
Well, also, Raging Bull is spanning.
Yeah, like
decades
2 or 3 decades
of this guy's life, whereas Rocky's 5 weeks.
Yeah,
it's 5 weeks from start to finish, which we got one off on the tangent, which is a brilliant script device.
Yeah, it's your timeline. It's your time
there
frame.
It is. I'm all about it, man. Because we know it starts November 25th. Early in the movie, he goes to Thanksgiving at Paulie and Adrian's house.
Paulie's a dick, man. Throws the turkey out.
We see a beautiful first date. The date with. But then we see Thanksgiving. We see Christmas. We see Paulie comes in with the wreath. They don't need to tell us how much time is passing, because it's there.
Yeah.
It's cinema in its most in its simplest
You don't have to.
and most brilliant.
You're subconsciously
way.
telling people. And
It's like when there's a pregnancy in a movie, you know, like someone gets pregnant, you know that the movie's taking place over 9-month period.
Yeah.
It's the way of like inserting a clock in like an expositional way that isn't exposition because it's just part of the storyline, and it's a visual way to keep the audience, you know, knowing how far everything's going. It's brilliant. I mean, Stallone was, you know, considering that the guy was a down and out actor, dabbled with writing.
Well, he said he went to also one day, I guess, got him idea of getting into writing was he was just walking around New York and he went into the New York Library and he picked up a book of Edgar Allan Poe and started reading that. And he's like,
big Poe guy.
He's like, I should start, you know, trying my hand at writing. And he said, you know, a lot of stuff was in his head. He had he was doing short stories, a lot of different things, but he wasn't feeling the right one. And I guess going to the fight, the Lepner fight, the Wepner fight is the one where he, you know, really got him to do the boxing thing. It's weird because it doesn't feel like New Year's to me. Like they keep saying it's going to be the greatest holiday, and then it looks like they're doing like July the 4th because they've got the
it is. I think I think that is.
So maybe they're even joking with that, or not.
Yeah.
Carl Weathers is saying he's because he's certainly the model for Muhammad Ali.
Because you and I weren't alive in 1976, like
because of the bicentennial.
We don't know how
year.
big of a deal the bicentennial was.
Yeah.
Maybe like
76.
New Year's Eve bicentennial was like we're celebrating. Which, by the way, Blowout takes place. The end of that movie takes place on July 4th. Bicentennial. In Philadelphia.
Because of course, for all people out there who of course know,
so if you're gonna cut those movies together.
That's because that's earlier in the year.
Both taking place in Philadelphia around the same time period.
You know, of course, for all
there's
the
a serial killer on the loose
in Philly, just killing people.
Just after Rocky's fight.
You know, we got our independence from the British in 1776, so that's why the bicentennial is 200 years. And in 1976, that was freaking huge. I mean, you can find quarters in the back that say the bicentennial.
You can still find quarters that have the bicentennial quarter.
And no one that was huge that year. So no one really.
So that's what I'm saying. Like we don't like. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was all about America, even though like you're right. Like the way he comes out, George Washington hat and the Uncle Sam stuff. I mean, it does seem like it's July 4th, but because it's 1976, we weren't born then. We don't know how big of a deal it was.
Yeah,
that's my only argument. You know, if I'm going to play devil's advocate on that one, but I totally agree with you. Watching it this time, especially. I was like, you know, it seems like they wanted to put it on July 4th, but they wanted to use that clock of Thanksgiving to New Year.
So it turned like that's going to be the biggest event instead of July 4th. I think also Steadicam. This is the third use ever of the Steadicam in a movie. First was Bound for Glory. Second, big favorite, Marathon Man.
Yeah.
And a lot of the shots you couldn't have got, you know, him running all around the markets and up the stairs and all that.
A DP, camera guy named Garrett Brown invents this machine called the Steadicam.
Yeah.
I think you're saying it's the third time they ever used it. They're trying to, you know, cast, for lack of a better term, the crew of Rocky. And they hear about this thing. There's a shot in some movie with this Steadicam. And it might also be in... When did Exorcist 2 come out?
Oh, I don't know.
Because there might be something in there. Anyway, so there's this idea of this... John G. Avildsen sees this thing that there's like this steady... There's these dolly shots that don't have dolly. You couldn't get with a dolly because there's no dolly tracks in the shot. And this guy, Garrett Brown, sends them a demo reel, shows them footage of what he's done. And there's footage of him running like full speed in a park with this thing.
And he's from Philly. So
and one of the things on the demo reel is him filming his wife running up the stairs of the art museum, which is where Rocky runs up. And so it's him following her up the stairs. And it was just like, okay.
That's it.
So like, while Rocky's running, it's sitting in the back of the van. He's sitting with it in the back of the van. He's running alongside
That's all
Rocky.
guerrilla filmmaking. They're just like, they would say that just get out. They'd see stuff, run through the market. That's why someone throws like an orange at him. There's the shot with the boat. He's like, get out, run as fast as you can.
Coincidentally, it's the Mooshaloo.
Yeah.
It's still docked in Philadelphia. And it's the boat they use when young Vito Corleone comes to America in Godfather Part 2.
Oh, wow. Was what year is that? 75 maybe? 76?
So that little bit of trivia for you. You can go still visit it.
Wow.
I don't think it's docked there, but it's docked in Philadelphia, and that's the boat they use in Godfather.
So
Part
great
2.
use of Steadicam in the movie.
And he is hauling ass past that boat.
Oh yeah, I know. When he said that by the end of that he'd been running all day and he felt like his legs were fatigued. He was every step he made he thought he was going to crash and just but he just said fuck it. He's going to just go.
No. And when he's training by himself, he goes for that run and he can't make it up the steps. And then at the end of the montage, he makes it up, and
that's like the end of the movie. There, it's slow motion,
and it's become like the most iconic thing, certainly of these movies. But
well, someone said, I forget who it was, maybe an old mayor of Philly. He said Sylvester Stallone and Rocky have done more for the city of Philadelphia since Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, I mean. They introduced this idea of a statue in Rocky 3, and the statues on the top of the stairs, and the statues on top of the stairs in Rocky 5. Stallone gives the statue to the city of Philadelphia art museum. The art museum says this is an art museum, not a sports arena. So ever since Rocky 5, it sat in front of the Spectrum for decades, which is where Rocky and Apollo fight in this movie. And then when the Spectrum closed, because they built a new arena, they moved it back to the art museum, but it's not on top of the stairs. It's down like on ground level off to the side. But I believe at the top of the stairs, there's actually they did give him like a tile of where he put like the Converse sneakers.
Oh, for where he stood?
Yeah. Of, like, you could see like the Converse stars.
You think
sneaker
of how
footprints, and it's
how iconic that is. And I wonder, going back to Stallone and this phenomenon of him doing this movie, it's just like if you had cast in like Robert Redford or whoever else they were, would it have been the same thing? Because a lot of times, I don't know if you and I have talked about this, but subconsciously, whoever you cast in a movie, you're the audience member is bringing the baggage of you. If you like the person, if you don't like the person, you see them in this role. I can't see them in this role. But for the positives of bringing an unknown relatively into a starring role like this is that you can immediately he becomes Rocky Balboa. He's not Sylvester Stallone. So
that's the thing. I mean, he's to this day so associated with that. Even like I saw this thing on like making fun of him kind of on Facebook. It was like a series. It was like 20 photographs throughout the years of him like taking pictures with people where he's holding up his fist.
Oh, yeah.
And it started that because of Rocky, and he still does it today. But that's because, he's Rocky. And it's like, and like how beautiful it is it that he recognizes it and
he embraces it.
It embraces it,
He's not like running from it like other people
and
may.
that he was the one that created it. I mean, some people are forced to be are identified with characters that came from somebody else.
Yeah, or if they get typecasted and they're trying to get away from that character.
Rocky was birthed from his brain, and and he was kind of embodied it. And
I don't think he's ever been ashamed of it. Like you take like a Leonard Nimoy who wants to try to get away from Spock.
There was a period there where he was trying. He's like he wrote a book called like I'm Not Spock.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. But I'm saying, but you take Leonard Nimoy as the example where he's like trying to get away from it, or Shatner trying to get away from Star Trek maybe. But like Stallone doesn't seem like he ever tried to distance himself from those humble
he embraced
origins
it by writing, directing, and starring in like the next series of movies, and then came back and he said, like Rocky, we didn't do Rocky justice with 5. Like we should give him another one. And Rocky Balboa, the 6th one, it's a beautiful look at what Rocky's doing, like you and I were talking about before we started taping. Like you could go 1 to 6 Rocky Balboa, and it's a beautiful arc without even having 4 through 5. And that movie is just a beautiful love letter to Philadelphia too. Like it ends with the music and just seeing like Philadelphia people and tourists. The credits roll over people running up the stairs.
Yeah, it's
like it's showing that like we all are Rocky. We've all embraced it. We've all embraced Philadelphia because of this movie. And it's a beautiful thing. And you're right. I mean, it's what a great thing that he never did kind of be like, I'm not going to be Rocky.
No, he never needed to. He never got to the point where in his career where he was he wasn't like putting on the ears to go out or the gloves, I guess, I've lost my complete train of thought there from talking with you about let me retrack. Stallone, with Rocky. We're doing Rocky today.
Let's go from the top.
Yeah, let's take it from the top. Segue quickly. I've noticed some things in here. He's wearing technical people, boxers. He's wearing Casanova gloves. Casanova gloves are illegal to wear in boxing matches because they say they photograph well on film, and that's the reason why they want to use them. But they're very lightly padded near the knuckles area, so that you can give a guy a pretty good beating as well as you can really mess up your hands too. So a lot of people, there's a big dispute of why is he wearing Casanova gloves? Well, because they photograph well. Let's talk about the build-up, like you were saying, with the whole thing about the posters.
Okay,
you know,
that's another brilliant scene.
Because that's giving you ammunition, like you're saying, like he's starting to realize, or he's not as dumb as.
Well, it's another happy accident. This movie is full. It was like, it was just like it was fate, this movie. Because what happens is the producers, or John J. Avildsen, they finally talk like the producers into like spring for these giant posters, pan-painted murals, which also went up on auction at that Stallone auction. Wow. I don't know how much they got, but
the hell are you going to do that?
They're fucking gigantic.
Jesus.
And so they send the painter these pictures that they took. Now, Stallone's not wearing the proper boxing shorts in the photos.
Yeah.
So he gets back red shorts with a white stripe instead of white shorts with a red stripe, and they're like, "Well, we don't have the time or the money to get it fixed." So
or even with the wardrobe department, they can't find it.
Yeah. So let's use it, So Stallone, he can't sleep. It's the night before the fight. He can't sleep. He decides to go to the Spectrum to just be there and see where basically his life's either going to begin or end. And he's standing in the ring, and the promoter's there smoking a cigar. And it's another shot from he comes from the foreground. Stallone's in the background, standing in the ring. He says, "Rocky, what are you doing here?" Rocky says, "The picture, it's wrong." And the guy's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "My shorts, they're the wrong color. I'm not wearing those shorts." And he says to Rocky, "Well, it doesn't really matter, does it?"
Yeah, it's not gonna matter.
I'm sure you're gonna give them a great show.
Yeah, which is code for you're gonna
and it's like
get the shit kicked out of you.
It's just another heartbreak.
Yeah,
where like it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter to anybody but Rocky.
Yeah,
this is just a spectacle.
Nobody cares.
It was
a
marketing device to Apollo Creed, which we could talk about
serendipitous that he picked him out of a phone book
because of the name,
because they have
the Italian style.
Yeah, they have the they have these books of anybody, so he's looking through
rankings of lists of people, and he sees this name, the Italian style. But just the fact that 1975 they shoot this movie, Apollo Creed is a black man, who's, by anybody's account from the way it's played, educated, smart, a shrewd businessman,
very much like Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, like he's obviously it's a pattern after Muhammad Ali, but I mean he's like the most educated, well-read person in the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean there's even scenes where when the actor who ends up being Rocky's trainer, who's also in The Shining. He's the one. He's Scatman Crothers' friend.
Oh yeah, the guy plays Duke, who's not named until the second.
Yeah, he's like Jack,
who's in Assault on Precinct 13. Also.
Oh yeah, he is. He's the cop in that. Yeah, but when he's watching the TV of them in the thing, you hear how smart Carl Weathers is. Yeah. He's talking about like, let's put our money into Canada, or you don't think you're doing,
it's like talking about like real estate deals and stuff.
Yeah, or where to put more, advertise for the fight.
But tax breaks, tax shelters and shit like this.
So you could tell he's very well educated.
Which, by the way, on a tiny little side note, one of his bodyguards, Apollo Creed's bodyguards, that just stands in the background.
I didn't notice him. Michael Dorn.
He's Michael Dorn, who plays Worf in Star Trek.
It's his first role. Uncredited.
Uncredited, just stands there and never says anything. But you can see these two black guys standing by the door, and one of them, he's wearing sunglasses. You would never really know. But also, Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers points out that, like, what makes a great protagonist is the great antagonist. And Carl Weathers does a brilliant job of playing him because you never dislike
Yeah, he never really comes out to be a complete douchebag. Like, for me,
You
sometimes
see that he
Muhammad
kind
Ali
of
would
punches.
be.
He takes a couple of cheap shots in the press conference, but you can tell that he's like a showman. It is like it's a circus, and he's acting this part as a character, as Apollo's acting this part of like the champ, and it's brilliant because we talk about how like Burt Young. I mean, Paulie's an asshole.
Yeah.
He's horrible to Adrian.
He's a drunk.
He's not that great to Rocky. I love that the first time we see Paulie, it's in the bathroom and he's trying to comb his hair in a broken
shatter, and that's all he's
he's like, "Oh, bro,
I'd love to catch you."
But it says so much about that character because, like, look at him. I mean, like,
and he's supposed to be the same age, right? He's supposed to be like 30s.
Who cares what his hair looks like? I mean, it's Paulie, but it matters to him.
Yeah.
And even like when we flash forward to the 6th Rocky movie, Rocky Balboa, and the spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it, turn it off right now because Adrian's dead.
Yeah.
No! In that movie, and on some anniversary, Rocky goes around to all the places that were important to their like courtship. He goes to like
the zoo and
where the ice rink was, where his old apartment was, and Paulie's drunk and he doesn't want to. He's like, look, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, he's your sister. He's like, but you were good to her. Yeah. He's like, I was bad to her. And it's just like that trip just reminds him like what a shitty brother he was to her. And it's like,
what year did the two of them come out? Rocky Balboa and Rambo, the New Red Force. That's like 2007, maybe 2006, 7, 8.
For some reason, 9 sticks out of my head, but you might be right. It might be earlier than that.
I mean, if you were to tell me in 2004 or 5, Stallone was going to revitalize both those.
Well, even when it was announced, everybody was like, "What the fuck?
What's he doing?" And he wrote. I mean, that Rambo 4 is fucking amazing.
It's awesome.
You know what I mean?
It's totally
it's
awesome.
90 minutes. They call him the Boatman, and that's it. You know what I mean? And then, oops, he accidentally releases a freaking R-rated red band teaser trailer, and
where he it's edited so that it looks like he punches a guy's head off of his body.
Yeah,
it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
It's unbelievable, and that was on purpose. He released that. That was one of the craziest trailers I'd ever seen. Then when Rocky Balboa comes out, it's like, I can't believe, how could you have thought of a way? He thought of a way to revitalize
it's
both.
Great. I mean, like
I would have put money against it. He's making a new Rambo. Come on, Rambo fights communists.
A little shout out to Dave Hastings, who did the Silver Bullet sidecast with me, who gets mentioned a lot even before that. Rocky Balboa is his favorite of the series.
Wow, it's such a good. I haven't seen Creed yet, but I mean it's such a good.
And we'll mention Creed, but it's amazing, and we need to talk about the score real quick.
Yeah.
Bill Conti's score for this movie is as perfect a marriage of music and cinema as any movie.
Well, I think he should be inducted into the Saturday Night Movie Hall of Fame because I mean, you have he has done some of the most amazingest films. Harry and Tonto, Paradise Alley, Fist, Rocky 2, Private Benjamin, Victory, Rocky 3, I, the Jury, Right Stuff, Bad Boys, the one with Sean Penn, Karate Kid, North and South, Karate Kid 2, FX, Masters of the Universe, Broadcast News, Lock Up, Prayer for the Dying, Karate Kid Part 3,
great Stallone movie.
Lean on Me, Rocky 5, Necessary Roughness, Rookie of the Year, Next Karate Kid, Spy Hard, the remake of the Thomas Crown Affair, and then Rocky Balboa. So that's just like a best of his legacy there. And you're right, this soundtrack is amazing. And then the use of synthesizers in this son of a bitch.
It's just the
and then like the 70s funk.
I know, and even the stuff that he's listening to on the radio when he's in the apartment, is like perfect. And
but you're right, it's such a good marriage. And then especially when you don't hear, you're sitting on Cinema Dynamite with that theme.
Yeah.
And you don't get the theme until he's freaking, he's doing his, and this could be one of the first and great uses of a freaking montage, which gets played out into the action.
Eisenstein would have been
Eisenstein would have wept. Sergei Eisenstein, if he had seen how the montage was rectified in this movie.
That's
used.
A little shout out to all you
film geeks out there.
Film student geeks.
Sergei Eisenstein, our N-word. Anyway, but I mean,
And
like,
aside from Gonna Fly Now,
yeah.
like of course that's the one
I
that
could never, that's when I was little, I could never hear what he was saying.
Yeah.
We
take a Gonna Fly Now aside, being like the quote unquote song that's highlighted in the movie. Just all the music around, like the slow piano music, and the music during the fight. Like, okay, it starts off the first round, and then once it gets heated, that competitive music comes in. It makes me cry. I could listen to the record and cry. It makes me cry.
Yeah,
you
got a lot of emotional attachment to this movie.
I do. I cry. This time around, I'll be honest with you. This time around, I cried when Mick came to
I tried not to make eye contact with you when we watched this movie.
I cried when Mick came to the apartment.
Yeah.
I cried when Paulie flipped out and...
Oh, that was sad. I was crying too.
And Adrian grabs her. She's like, I am not a loser.
Yeah.
I cried there.
Yeah.
I was a blubbering mess during this
and you
movie.
were sober as well, which is even more startling.
And my glasses got all fucked up
You're
because
all
I had
fogging
dried
up.
tears all over.
We had to stop the movie.
It was embarrassing. But Bill Conti's music for this. And then, okay, let's talk about the end of the movie because we have to start wrapping up.
Quickly, we talking about how they can't get things done because of budget. The whole scene with the skating rink, they couldn't find
It was
extras.
supposed to be it was supposed to be dinner.
Yeah.
And then John G. Avildsen was like, we can't just have you sit there and talk for 10 minutes. It's going to be boring. So what else can we do? Oh, there's an ice rink. We can go ice rink. John G. Avildsen's like, okay, then we're going to have to get extras. Then in between shots, we're going to have the Zamboni go back and forth to clean the ice. He's like, it's not going to cost any. It's going to be it's going to cost too much. What if it's Thanksgiving, it's closed, Rocky slips him money to let them go out on the ice together.
And it works out great.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Even the part where the guy's being an asshole. 7 minutes. I mean, it works out brilliantly.
And he's running, and a lot of that is kind of improv in between the two of them.
He doesn't know how to skate, so he's running around. She's not very good either on skating.
I mean, it's romantic.
Yeah.
It's when he's like, my dad used to say, like, you got to, work your body because you don't have much of a brain. And she laughs. He's like, what, what's so funny? She's like, my mother used to say the opposite. He's like, opposite what? What'd she say the opposite? And she says, and it's just a beautiful, but again, like you said, sometimes that's, that there's whole other discussion, which we can go in about like the fucking whole George Lucas thing of like, when you can do anything, like restriction can be a beautiful thing in art.
Yeah, as opposed to having, whatever your heart's desire. At the end of the movie, they invited a whole bunch of fighters to show up. The only one who showed up was Joe Frazier.
Smoking Joe Frazier.
Yeah, who I've met. Great guy. I've met Sly Stallone too, but Frazier's from Philly.
Yeah.
Apparently
did not like
Carl Weathers?
Carl Weathers, yeah.
Oh, Carl Weathers was being a little douchey to him.
Didn't quite understand that he was playing a character.
Yeah,
and they were actually worried at some point that Joe Frazier was going to kick the shit out of Carl Weathers.
That's funny. What do you think the act structure is?
In what way? What's the 3 act?
Yeah, what do you think the 3 act would be? You think Act 1 is ends when he gets the...
It's got to be when he is offered the fight.
And then Act 2 is up until maybe, the montage maybe?
I think up into...
When he's scared, it says he's scared of the maybe.
I would say post montage.
Yeah,
it's like when we see after the montage the night before the fight.
Yeah,
it's like we've now settled into like the realization. The whole thing about the music and we're as an audience not. There's no way Rocky can do this.
Yeah,
we've set this whole thing up where like Rocky can't do this. He's going to get killed. I mean, there's no way he can stand up to it.
Isn't that a weird dichotomy?
So the montage happens, and John Avildsen goes to Bill Conti. We're going to do a training montage. I need music that tells the audience maybe he can do this.
Yeah.
And that's where they're going to fly now. And so it starts out, he's like, I need 30 seconds of music. He gives him 30 seconds of music. He's like, you know what? It's too short. He's going to start running now. He's like, give me enough. They keep going in 30-second increments until it's like over 3 minutes long. They have this beautiful montage, all this music pumping. And he goes, John Avildsen goes to Bill Conti, can we say something like he's getting stronger? So Bill Conti goes to his wife. He says, "Do you know anybody in your office sing?" He's like, "Yeah, there's a couple people that can sing." He's like, "Come on in." They sing "Getting Strong, Getting Stronger," and "Gonna Fly Now." I like the two lyrics. And
that's like "Gonna Fly Now."
But that's the thing. That's like the power of music. And this movie is such a great example of like how it's an emotional thing, not an intellectual thing. Like we feel it, and that music, in juxtaposition to those images, is what makes us feel like, oh my God, maybe Rocky can do this. But then once that third act starts, we see that Rocky knows he can't do it.
And it's such a stunning omission that we're not even trying to psych the audience out with that. We're letting the audience know, like, he's probably not going to win this fight. He could be killed doing this.
Yeah. Rocky's scared.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? He's like, I've spent my whole life, not living up to, this is my chance. And if I can I'm never going to win.
Yeah.
But if I can go in there and I can stand toe to toe with the champ, and in the end when that final bell rings, I'm still standing, then that's all I want. Like, then I've won.
Yeah.
And that's like the power of the ending is like we see a man so driven that he defies the odds.
Are we getting to the ending now?
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about the ending?
I would like to.
Okay. No, I didn't know if you want to do before then. The ending now. So, who wins the fight? Split decision. Do we know who wins the fight?
Carl Weathers wins the fight.
He wins. Because we learned that in the second one. But at the end of they kind of make it muffled.
It is. It's in the background.
Yeah.
Because that's the brilliance of it.
Yeah. Rocky don't even care.
It doesn't matter. They're asking Rocky questions. He's like, leave me alone.
Yeah, I want to find Adrian. Yeah,
like he's just like, Adrian.
Yeah.
And she comes out. And
you start crying again because it's like
they're trying to. We can hear it in the background, and then we see a long shot where like when Apollo wins, like he raises his hand, but it's like a long shot where our focus is on Rocky, because the fact that Rocky doesn't win doesn't matter.
He doesn't care.
He won.
He finished.
He did what he set out to do.
He's standing at the end of that. I mean, then we talk about the whole cut me Mick. That's legendary. That whole thing where they have to cut the swelling down, and that's. Nowadays, so at the end of the fight, he doesn't even care.
He doesn't care. He doesn't even listen to.
And then he's like trying. He can't see.
Paulie's trying to get in, and the cop stops it. And then Adrian comes up. She loses her hat.
Yeah, pulls it off with a fish. That fishing rod.
She runs up to the top, and he's like, "But she's my buddy. I need to get in there." And then stops. You can't go in there. And she goes, "Paulie." And he looks down, and he quickly lifts up the rope.
She goes in,
and she's yelling for her, and she's trying to get to the crowd. She's yelling for him. It's like
then he's like, well, "Where's your hat?"
It's like well, that's it. I mean, that's who Rocky is.
Yeah,
like he just went through the biggest ordeal of his life. He could have been killed, and when he sees her, it's not about him anymore.
Now, let's pause it there before we get to the last actual shot of the movie. Now, they originally, we talked about before, the script was going to be darker. He was going to throw the fight because he was disenfranchised, disenchanted with the whole industry. They shot I guess they shot an ending which ended up being the theatrical poster of like, Rocky goes looking for her. He finds her behind the curtain backstage. He holds her hand, and they walk off together. Yeah, and then they
walk like in the park. They walk to like the parking lot.
Yeah, and they realize.
So that's the poster, which will likely be the poster on our page, which is like we see them holding hands, walking away from the camera.
And that was such an iconic poster at the time, and that was a shot not even in the movie.
Yeah, it's not even in the movie.
And I guess they realized this isn't the ending we want, so they went back a week later and they reshot the thing.
We got like there's the
momentum.
Music, there's exactly. It's like
we need to end on a high note. We can't let everybody.
We
just blew our load, and we don't want to have everyone.
Yeah, it's like the fanfare. We got the crowd.
Yeah,
everything's kind of crazy. And you're right. Like he gets there, and he's like, "Where'd your hat go?" It's little touches like that.
Now that
are amazing.
They end the movie on like them together.
Well, yeah, she says, "I love you," which is the first time. This is it. I mean, it's like when you have a relationship, you're starting a relationship with somebody, there comes that time where it's like, I'm going to say this to that person, and it's a big deal because it's a commitment. They might not reciprocate it. This whole entire movie, there's beautiful symbolism where she works in a pet shop, and when we see her, Rocky's comes to see her at the thing, and she's standing behind a cage. She's behind bars. She's like this guarded little mouse.
Yeah.
That has never been anything but this. And,
well, no one's ever told her any different.
Yeah. She's been like, she's had Paulie, be a shithead to her entire life. She thinks her job is to take care of him. She's probably her entire life. Her mom is like, you're never going to be the pretty one. And Rocky comes along and sees something in her, sees the beauty behind the glasses and all those clothes, and he sees it. And he brings her out until like he comes back. He comes home and she's got Butkus and she's fucking decked out.
Yeah, she looks nice. He's like, you look good. You're gonna be breaking hearts.
And then even as she's looking adorable in the fight, she's not wearing her glasses.
Yeah.
Even Talia Shire says like she kind of thought that she doesn't even need glasses, but it was like Adrian wore them to not have to,
like a protection.
Yeah, like it was a mask that she put on. Like she even wore the wrong prescription because she didn't even need glasses just to not have to deal with people.
Now, do you think in the annals of Rocky, you take all 7 movies, do you think some people speculate that the last shot of one, that I love you, and they have that moment where we're both,
I love you.
I love you. Me and you are holding hands, crying, and they end on that freeze frame. Do you think that's the highest point in both their lives?
That's kind of, obviously when this movie ended, when they shot this movie, there was never
like anything. They
didn't think they were going to make a second.
Why?
So that becomes the thing. It's like they're drawn together. It's like these two forces, like this movie is like fate. The fact that Adrian and Rocky have found each other and fallen in love is they're soulmates. They're drawn together from the length of the spectrum to be together for this life.
Spectrum, the arena.
The arena is called the spectrum in the movie.
In real life too, but
it doesn't. I don't even know if it's still. I know they were using it for other things. There's another place that they do the basketball games and hockey games from now. But draw together. She says, "I love you," and he's like, "I love you," and then they embrace. And as they embrace, they kind of lift up.
Yeah.
And that's the frame that that John G. Alvis and Stallone decide to end on, is like when they're at the peak of that embrace, because the moment they touch and then they squeeze and then they let go of that squeeze a little bit, they come back down and they freeze right at the top of that, because in the context of this movie, forget what it comes after it. When they made this movie, this is the highest point of his life. Everything from this point is downhill.
Yeah.
He's done his thing. That's it. And we freeze and we get this beautiful freeze frame of it. The two of them embracing. He's all bloodied, but he doesn't even notice it anymore. He notices more that she lost her hat in the crowd. And then the credits roll with another amazing theme by Bill Conti, which is just like a string ensemble.
Yeah.
And it's just black credit. It's white credits on black, and it's just the very mellow. And it's like, we talk. There's movies sometimes have like that big finale, and then there's like this little aftermath, which is like the stasis of the movie.
Yeah.
We don't have that with them walking away into the parking lot, but we have that with the credits.
Yeah. And it would have been a different movie had they just. Like, it almost seems like they would have had the credits rolling over them, like walking to the. So what do you want to do after this? I don't know. What do you want to do? What do you want to go get a cheesesteak?
But just the credits with that, like that theme that we hear during the fight, like the, but just as a string quartet, which is very kind of like melancholy.
Yeah.
Which is like, again, reinforcing that idea of like he peaked, and everything after this is kind of, they'll probably get married and they'll have kids or whatever and they'll be happy, but life is never going to be better than it is right this very second when they embrace for the first time with I love you.
You're getting me teary-eyed now.
And he just did the greatest thing that he'll ever do, and now he has the woman he loves like solidified. It's heartbreaking and it's beautiful.
It is great. The movie was shot in 28 days, which is amazing, again, to have it done. Came out, opening weekend grossed $5 million, ended up reaching $117 million in North America box office in 76, and that's that's then adjusted for inflation. That's $460 million in North America in 2015 prices. Overseas, it grossed $107 million worldwide box office, which is around $225 million now. And with it being, we said already, a $1 million budget, it got 11,000%. That's how much, and it was the highest grossing film in 1976.
It was a big deal.
And it won an Oscar, and it's the first sports film ever to win a Best Picture Oscar for like that.
Now flash forward, however many 40 years or whatever later, this movie Creed comes out. And Stallone, there's buzz that Stallone will get a nomination for Best Supporting Actor in it. Like, just for the story alone, I hope it happens, and I hope he wins.
Yeah, you know what?
I
haven't seen the movie yet. You saw it. Everyone told me who saw it says it's crying. I've seen a couple trailers, and it doesn't look good from what I've seen in the movie. No, I'm sorry. It looks great, but I'm saying it doesn't look good for the Rocky character in the movie from what I saw.
Yeah. I wish they didn't.
That's why I'm pulling for those
kind of stuff.
I'm pulling for those heartstrings, and God forbid if it's like that other. What's that fucking Eastwood movie that I will never watch again with Gene Hackman? With her, she's boxing in it.
Oh, yeah. What is that? $1 Million Baby?
$1 Million Baby. The end of that movie, when you have Eastwood crying, geez, I well up. So I was like, I don't want to see any of that kind of stuff.
I will say, in my personal opinion, Creed is not as good of a movie as everybody's making it out to be.
Yeah.
That's not to say that I don't think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I feel like it's flawed, but it's not. I just feel like it's got issues, but most movies do. They can't all be Rocky.
Yeah, I know.
But Stallone is great in it, and it would be such a beautiful thing if he wins an Academy Award.
That would be nice.
Playing Rocky all these years later,
to have him do that again. Another thing I found, wrapping this up, is for merchandising for the film. Originally, they licensed Rocky to Hasbro to make a member of the G.I. Joe task force, so they did that in the 80s with wrestler Sergeant Slaughter, as we all know. So a toy in refrigerator Perry from the I think, was he from the Cubs, the Bears?
Bears, yeah.
Bears. I was gonna say the Cubs, the
Chicago
Bears.
Cubs.
The Bears. We are the Bears. No, you're good. Remember that song? Okay. Well, anyway, a toy prototype was made for Rocky. And Marvel Comics, in their G.I. Joe Order of Battle profile comic that came out during the negotiations of this, I don't know what year this is. This is probably mid-'80s. It included Rocky as a current Joe member, specializing in hand-to-hand combat and as an example of what it means to persevere under seemingly impossible odds. But negotiations collapsed because Stallone licensed Rambo to another company. So Marvel had to run retractions in the third issue of the limited run series, indicating that the character was never part of G.I. Joe. So that's amazing to think that for a minute there,
not Rambo, but Rocky
was
a member of the Joe team.
How cool Rocky, hey, Duke, just like real nice, So what are you getting for buckets of pizza? Do we even have to ask you?
10
out of 5 buckets of pizza, 1 being worse, 5 being best. You're giving it 10.
It's literally, if it's not my favorite movie of all time, it's top 3.
Not even top 5. It's top 3.
I would say it's top 3.
Do you know what the other 2 are, or no? This is something you wrestle with.
I don't know. I just know that this one. I just know for the amount of love I have for this movie. Like I said, it's always been with me, but it literally kind of changed my life.
I mean,
7 years ago when I watched it again.
We tried to put so much into this cast. I don't know if we've crammed all as much, and you could do a whole.
There's
series.
So much more I could talk about, but I know it's like the sun's coming up. It's getting.
It's winding down.
We got church in an hour.
I think it's 5. 4 out of 5. 5 out of 5. It's such a great. It's just like such an uplifting story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seems. I don't know. I wonder if they were to make it today, if the pacing would be a little. They want to. You know what I mean?
You couldn't make it today.
They want to make it faster and all that.
I mean, they made Creed, but Creed's coming off of
Rocky Balboa.
It's coming off
all
of,
these other phenomenons, and
as an original story, it could never be made today. It's the grit of the 70s. It's the low budgetness. It's the grain of the film.
Joe Spinell.
It's the music. It's the music that Bill Conti wrote for it. It's everything. You couldn't do it today.
Lightning in a bottle.
It really was.
Yeah. You have any recommendations?
I would say, Rocky Balboa. Like
Yeah.
I said, I feel like
The 2006 film.
yeah, I feel like you really could. You could add Rocky 2 to it, and so you could go Rocky 2, Rocky Balboa, and have a beautiful little arc. But you really could just go Rocky the first movie, Rocky Balboa, just 2 movies, and have this beautiful little double feature to see like the beginnings of this relationship and this guy who had a shot. His whole life was 1,000,000 to 1 shot. This is the tagline to Rocky, and then to see like kind of the coda of it.
Yeah.
So I would say like that would make a really awesome double feature, or even Creed, but Creed's not out yet, so you can't add that.
It's
to
in
a
the
sleepover.
theaters, but you can't. You can't watch a sleepover.
You can't rent it or stream it.
And we like to always say that they did a paperback novelization of this movie.
I've got at least the first 3 or 4 in my
Wow.
collection.
That must be amazing, them actually choreographing the fight. Because Stallone choreographed the fight, which is also the technical things we get into. Like there was like 35 hours.
Wrote it out.
Yeah, because they
actually had a guy to choreograph it who had choreographed all the great boxing scenes in like Hollywood history. An old guy. Stallone told him what he wanted to do with it, and the guy was like, "No, you can't do that." And then he's like, "Well, that's the way we're going to do it." And the guy's like, "Then you're going to do it without me."
Oh, Jesus.
So Judge Appleton said to Stallone, then he's like, "You know what? Go home. You know what you want to do. Just go home and write it out like it was a script."
Stallone did it like a champ. He came out 32 pages or something like that.
Fight punch by punch.
Jesus, it's amazing to think that. I guess my recommendations, if you're a Rocky fan out there or a boxing fan, go see City for Conquest, which is 1940. It's James Cagney. Kirk Douglas's movie I couldn't think of before is called Champion. That's 49. And 1962 is the Requiem for a Heavyweight. And I think people have seen Raging Bull, which is 1980.
Yeah. What's the one with John Voight and Ricky Schroeder?
Oh, Jesus. Oh, I know that one too. That one that's that's a Saturday afternoon movie right there. If I've ever heard of one.
I can't remember the name of it, but that's a good one.
So this is ending our year. This is the
This is our last
2015.
one. And what a great movie to end on. It's topical because of Creed.
Yeah.
Like you said, in a couple of months, hopefully, fingers crossed, we might see that Stallone wins an Academy Award for playing Rocky.
Yeah.
Or hopefully at least get nominated. I think he deserves it. I mean, the guy's done it. He's paid his dues.
Certainly.
And,
Yeah.
Rocky's certainly as iconic a film character as there is.
Yeah.
Maybe not the most, but it's up there.
Yeah. Good guy.
It's a beautiful universal story that kind of just like it speaks to everybody. Everybody knows. Everybody has obstacles and has the cards stacked against them at one time in their life or another. And this is just a beautiful story about a guy who, like I said, his whole life was 1,000,000 to 1 shot. He gets the shot and.
Luckily he did it. Luckily he didn't just say no.
The movie ends
right there. That's it. How it ended.
20
Ends
minutes
right
into
there.
nah,
I'm done.
no, that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna start breaking people's fingers.
So
Done.
many other little things we could have talked about, but I think we hit everything that
Yeah.
was big. Lloyd Kaufman.
Lloyd Kaufman shows up as a drunk.
He worked on the movie. He's the guy that Stallone, as he's walking into the Lucky
he picks
Seven
him up?
Tavern, he picks him up, puts him in. That's Lloyd Kaufman. They shot the outside was in Philadelphia. The inside of the bar was in L.A.
Oh.
So Avildsen says to Lloyd Kaufman, he's like, look, if you want to be the guy that he pulls in, like he picks you up, but we're going to use some other guy.
Yeah.
On the inside, he said, if you want to be that character, you have to fly yourself to L.A.
And he flew himself to L.A.
Because
he's in the end. Then he's in the.
I think they must have shot that on the same day.
Yeah, because he's in the end when they're in the bar.
Crowd.
Yeah, in the bar. And then
The fact that Rocky has bricks right outside his window, one is brilliant. Stroke of brilliance. A foot away from his window is bricks. Is because they shot the inside of the apartment is in L.A. And right outside his window was a palm tree. So they put a fake brick thing right outside his window. But it's one of those things where it's brilliant. That Rocky's view
is a brick wall, a foot away.
It's a brick
Yeah.
wall. And in New York, that's not uncommon.
That's not common at all.
But it is like this little stroke of brilliance. So many little things. When he's walking to Paulie, when Paulie's taking him to Thanksgiving, and he's like, "You sure she knows him coming?" He's like, "Yeah, she knows you're coming. And she's excited about it." As they're walking past the hoagie shop, he sees little Marie.
Oh yeah, he does see her. Yeah,
standing up there, and it's just like another little like.
She's not listening.
Little.
A little dig
right at Rocky's heart. Like after his big speech, little Marie's still going to be who that character comes back in Rocky Balboa, but maybe that's not.
Let's hope she's not a hula. So I don't remember now.
That's my least favorite part of that movie.
So we're gonna have to now successively go through all of them and do just keep touching back to see where Rocky's at. Please check us out on iTunes. Check us out on, what are we on? iTunes. We're on Stitcher. We're on Podroid. We've realized some people out there don't even realize we have a podcast.
Podbay.
We're on Podbay.
Player FM.
Player FM. Check us out on Twitter. We're at Sat Sleepovers. We're on Facebook. Like I said, some people on Facebook don't even realize we have a podcast.
We have a beautiful growing
audience on Facebook.
Facebook community. We post a lot of shots from movies. We, share a lot of great articles that we come across. But surprisingly, not a lot of people. There's a large part of that audience doesn't even know we do a podcast.
Yeah.
So spread the word.
Yeah, put the word out in the street. You got to get the word out in the street.
If you like Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers,
go get the church and go.
You tell your friend.
Your friend, you only got one.
You take a friend. You say, check out. If everybody
tells a
friend, and then that friend tells a friend.
Yeah, it's like telephone. By the end of it, they're saying something really nasty on the other end.
Once we're big enough, we're gonna have live sleepover.
Yeah. Everyone's got to bring a sleeping bag, and it's bring your own sleeping bag.
But we need you.
Yeah.
To get us there.
We need the Jews and we need you. We need everybody. Yes, please check us out and check out the website ourselves. Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers. We're there. We have all kinds of stuff there, fun stuff. You can learn about us. You can see pictures of us.
SaturdaySleepovers.podwits.com.
Yeah, that's us there.
That's SaturdaySleepovers.podwits.com.
Well, we're always there. Have a happy New Year. Hope you had a good Christmas. We're still talking Christmas stuff. Keep that season alive.
New Year's cast.
Yeah, and we hope you like the little present we gave you, the New Year's cast.
A bonus New Year's cast.
Yeah, we're doing this late on a
classic.
Saturday night. Yeah, one for the heart.
Does get more classic. And New Year's the 2060's coming, and we got some fun things.
Yeah, in the
arsenal.
Yeah, coming out. So in the breach. So take care and Happy New Year.
Later.
Dion and Blake every Saturday night. Popcorn's popping, the pizza's in sight. Movie marathons till the morning light. Just friends watching movies on a Saturday night. They had been pals since in their teens. With Mega Joe Cola fueling their dreams. Watching childhood favorites on the TV screen. Talking endlessly about their favorite scenes. Lights go dim, the screen comes alive. In Dion and Blake's world, nostalgia thrives. Buckets of pizza and endless high fives. Saturday night movie sleepovers are where friendships survive. Lights go dim, the screen comes alive. In Dion and Blake's world, nostalgia thrives. Buckets of pizza